call the June 21st, 2023 meeting, school board meeting to order and start with the pledge to flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Jennifer.
Mrs. Spence Clemens.
Here.
Ms. Patisky.
Here.
Mrs. Blomgren.
Here.
Mrs. Chaikin. Mr. Cormack.
Here.
Mrs. Cullen.
Here.
Mr. Rice.
Here.
Mr. Russell.
Here.
Mr. Wurs.
Here.
You say they can hear, but they can't see.
Mr. Rice, I think, and Mr. Thomas, people who are watching the live stream said they can hear, but they can't see.
Okay.
Do we have Ricky on?
Connect to the Zoom. No. Do you want to call her?
Is it a different Zoom? Because she was just on one.
It was just, it was last night's link, the same link from last night.
Mr. Rice, at one point, she did indicate that she would come by phone because there was nothing to do tonight.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just seeing which ones it's calling.
No, she didn't want to go by phone.
Do by phone. One, two, do student recognition.
All right, we'll start with the superintendent's report, please.
Sure. Good evening. We are proud to share some great news with you all tonight. Dr. Schott and I are teaming up to continue the sharing the good at every monthly meeting. The end of the school year is definitely the busiest time of year, and every one of our elementary schools celebrated their students and staff in a number of ways. As you can see behind us, I believe there's going to be a slide. Whether it was award assemblies, talent shows, picnics, Olympic days, field days, and even one of our principals getting all the fixins is a human taco. I really love headed out to all of it, 7 elementary schools to see the kids and their teachers in action. The well-deserved summer break wishes to all our elementary students and staff members.
The end of year festivities were also in full swing at our 3 middle schools, and of course Penridge High School, as the class of 23 finished their Penridge student career. Our middle schools also hosted picnics and outdoor activities, but also school-wide service projects, PBIS pep rallies and events, and even a color run. Many of these events were captured on pictures and videos by Dave Thomas and his team of content creators in all 11 of our schools. You can see the videos on our YouTube channel and the pictures on our social media sites. 2 weeks ago at Lehigh University, we were honored to be part of the commencement ceremony for the class of 2023. Hundreds of graduates received their diplomas in front of very proud family members and PHS staff. We are Penridge proud to tell you that students who received partial or full scholarships totaled more than $2.4 million for college or technical education. Congratulations again. We are Penridge proud of all of our teachers and staff and love to tell you about their accomplishments. Penridge Orchestra Director and teacher Jen DeVasto is a national quarterfinalist for the 2024 Grammy Music Educator Award. Woo! Jen is one of 212 music teachers from across the country who the Grammy Museum say have made a significant and lasting contribution to the field of music education and who demonstrate a commitment to the broader cause of maintaining music education in the schools. Semi-finalists for the 2024 Music Educator Award will be announced this September. The ultimate recipient will be recognized during Grammy Week 2024, We are rooting for you, Jen. Congratulations. Next, we have some students and their families here tonight that we would like to recognize. As we call your name, please come forward and be recognized. Mr. Thomas will take your picture, and parents and friends, please also feel free to come down and take your own pictures as well. We'd like to recognize all of our spring sports state qualifiers. Boys lacrosse team, Coach Chris Bianco and player Tyler Vandermark. This was our first ever conference championship and state playoff berth. Are we coming down? Are you waiting for everyone? Hey, come on down. Mr. Hagan, would you like all of them called or one at a time? All? Okay. Boys volleyball team, Coach Dave Childs. None of the coaches or players are able to attend. They have a summer league event tonight. Softball team, Coach Wendy Ladonesi and one player, Destiny. First state berth since 1988. Wow. None of the players are able to attend tonight, unfortunately. Girls track, Coach Bill Smith and runner Keegan Smith. 4x800 relay of Nora Ridding, Ava Polturak, Kagan Smith, and Ashley Landis, third place. 9 minutes, 16 seconds. All-state third team. Ashley Landis, 800, sixth place, set a new school record this season, and Tori Angelo, 300 hurdles, fifth place. Ran a PR of 43.99. Lindsay Balmer, high jump, 14th place, jumped a PR of 5 feet 6 inches this year, which was the third highest jump in the state for this school year. Peyton Meenan, shot put, 13th place. Peyton has tied the school record of 37 feet 11 inches from last season. Boys track, Coach Adam City, and runners Chase Marshall and Zach Bridgman. Jarrett Hess bronze medal in the triple jump 4x400 relay. That is everyone. Legislature in 2018. It requires all school districts beginning in 2020-2021 school year in Pennsylvania to assess students once in their academic careers, anywhere between grades 7 and 12, and we choose grade 8 in Penridge, in civics, government, and U.S. history. School districts have the option of creating their own assessment or utilizing the U.S. Citizen Test examination. School districts must provide students who receive a perfect score with a certificate of recognition, and we are certainly happy to do so. This year, 503 of our 8th graders took the assessment. 91% passed, and an amazing 53 students earned a perfect score. And last year, we had 15 students who earned a perfect score. So we would like to recognize those students now. Would you please come down? From South Middle School, Zoe Brown, Thomas Casey, Ethan Forrest, Josie Heron, Evelyn Lockhart, Alice Marshall, Lucas Nathan, Christian Rendina, and Robert Smith. South Middle School. Mr. Rice, would you?
Hey guys, there you go. All right, everybody look here. Get ready, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll hold you for that. Got it? All right. Thank you.
Congratulations. From Central Middle School, Finn Bachman, Connor Burke, Madeline Buchanan, Luke Daly, Sadie Hogan, Andrew Seller, Giorgio Siokas, Olivia Trotter, Madison Waddington, Liliana Weaver. Congratulations, Central students.
Dr. Cordova says she wanted her to go up there.
Right here, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Thomas, a second. Dr. Cordelessa, would you like to come in the picture?
We love that.
Come on in.
All right, congratulations, way to go.
North Middle School, Solomon Abdi, Liliana Beck, Phoenix Bach, Gianna Bushman, Audrey Caligiri, Lottie Chiappetta, Mia Devlin, Dominic DiMario, Michael Ferguson, Cole Kreider, Colby Lanher, Evan Lantain, Gianna Moan, Natalia Schmidt, Gia Trishiti, Jackson Warfel, Kylie Wheatley, and Colin Moore. Congratulations.
Parents, good. Hold up 1 second. Dr. Shepard.
I'll do that again.
You go, everybody.
And finally, tonight, we have two donations to announce. The Penridge Community Education Foundation will make a donation of $13,812.89 to the Penridge School District for the purpose of classroom innovation grants to be distributed to the Penridge teachers within the 2023-2024 school year. PCEF is donating this money with the provision that it can be used only for classroom innovation grants for teachers, and it is the wish of PCEF that all the grant money be dispersed in the coming school year. And we would also like to publicly recognize a donation of an Eastman brand viola instrument from Miss Amy Fessler, a cousin of a family in the district. Thank you.
Mr. President, before we get to public comment on the agenda, there's one amendment to the agenda and announcement I'd like to make, and I've been asked to make by Dr. Bolden. Dr. Bolden's leave of absence for health reasons has been extended through October 31st, 2023. He's also made the decision to voluntarily and irrevocably retire on October 31st, pursuant to, if everyone will just please be in order, pursuant to agreement with the board that he had made that request for. So I'm going to ask for two things. One is, ask the audience to recognize that this is a personnel matter and at the request of Dr. Bolton, the board is going to vote on the agreement that he has asked us to approve and will not comment on that as a personnel matter. Out of respect for Dr. Bolton, I hope we can respect his wishes. The second thing is I'm going to ask the board to agree to amend the agenda at consent calendar 5, subsection K, to add a motion to approve the separation agreement and general release of Superintendent Dr. David Bolton. Could I get a motion to approve that amendment?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Second.
So motion and second. Would everyone please vote aye or nay with regard to adding that to the voting consent agenda?
Aye.
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 All right, then the matter has been added in the consent calendar in A through K. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Follow up?
Thank you. Mrs. Blomgren, Mrs. Chaikin, and I reached out to have a conversation with supervisors today. We had great, honest conversations and shared thoughts on the roles and responsibilities of the supervisor positions to understand each other's perspectives and our common goal of having the most significant impact on student success. We shared our motivation for these positions to provide the maximum hands-on support for students and teachers in the classroom and a direct role in the curriculum writing process. We talked about the value of working together as a team and are looking forward to working together collaboratively to achieve those objectives. In addition, our supervisors and other professionals are going to follow up with Jordan Adams and work together to finish our curriculum to bring to the board. I am going to be making a motion to table the elimination of the supervisor positions.
Second.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it.
We
I'm gonna
don't
make it
need
like
to make it now.
agenda.
Let's wait till we get to 10C and 10D, and if it's in order, we can take up her motion to table then, if that's all right with the board.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. All right.
Interesting.
According to policy 903, public comment, which is limited to 3 minutes, should be directed to the presiding officer rather than individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. For confidentiality and privacy rights, specific comments regarding particular individuals must be communicated privately to the school board and superintendent via email at psdschoolboard@penridge.org. We have a couple pages. We have first up Amy Johnson, and on deck we have Chris Kaufman, please. Remember, name, municipality, and topic, please.
Amy Johnson, Northwood Township, South Middle School art teacher. Good evening. First, can I tell you how really hard it is to come out here? I'm 52 years old. We've got kids out here that are going to be coming up and don't exactly understand what agenda items are. Can we be kind? Yes. That is the one thing I ask every student in my classroom every day. Please be kind, because I'm shaking inside right now. You're intimidating. I don't mean that in a mean way, but you're very intimidating. So, the topic that I would like to discuss is about the book that was read here yesterday and the understanding of that. I think there was a lot said, so I'm not gonna reiterate what was said, but what I'm going to ask for you to just open your minds to is that what your interpretation of that book was, other people had a different interpretation. And I think that in order for any policy to be passed, we need to come to an understanding of what is an interpretation of what is sexual content. Because I think that a lot of people came up here and voiced that what was read, some of us felt was hard to hear and disgusting, and there were a lot of different words that were used. Other people heard it as abuse, and that's not sexual content. That is not for eroticism. That is to teach. I am standing up here for my students, asking you, please don't shut doors on them. please. I'm not up here for a contract. I'm not up here for you to make my life easier. I am up here because my students that I teach every day are suffering based on the decisions that you're making. And that all of these kids are out here, and we all have different opinions, guys, but let's just come together and be kind, because that's what I ask my students to do. And all my South students, thank you.
Next up, we have Chris Hoffman, and on deck, we have Richard Burns.
Chris Kaufman, Percy Borough. I'd like to, I was going to address personnel. So I'm going to kind of skim through what I have wanted to say. To start with, so our curriculum must reflect the diverse needs and interests of our students while meeting the highest academic standards. Without the guidance and oversight of the curriculum supervisors, we risk a haphazard and disjointed approach to education, ultimately failing our students. Last night, Mr. Adams provided a presentation to our district, which should have been available to the public prior to the meeting, and claiming that his content was aligned with the highest academic standards. However, the supervisors examined the material in real time in tiny print on a projected screen and discovered glaring inaccuracies. The supervisors delved into the content, cross-referencing it against the curriculum as a whole and state law. They fact-checked the information, again, in real time, ensuring that it was grounded in truth and providing our community with a comprehensive and accurate understanding of the subject matter. Education isn't about memorizing facts and passing exams. It's about fostering critical thinking skills, promoting creativity, and nurturing the development of our students. Curriculum supervisors play a pivotal role in ensuring that these aspects are integrated into our educational framework, and their absence would create a void that cannot be filled. So the incident last night with Vermillion serves as a powerful reminder of the significance of having knowledgeable and diligent educators in our district. Their dedication to upholding the highest standards of education and their commitment to factual accuracy should be applauded and celebrated.
Richard Burns, next up, Robin Reed.
Hello, my name is Richard Burns, Hilltown Township. I'm a retired family physician with 43 plus years of experience in caring for adults, children, and adolescents in the Penridge and Sounderton school districts. Penridge is not unique regarding the contentious debate about sexually explicit books in schools. This debate, as you know, exists all across our country and in numerous countries around the globe. As demonstrated last night, this debate has bred some or much divisiveness. We can all agree that the difficult issues should be discussed with the students in conjunction with the schools and the parents. This includes discussions of the horrors of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, predatory sexual grooming, and other sexual-oriented topics. We should also agree that parents should retain the right to remove their children from these discussions for personal or religious convictions. So if these topics must be taught at school, would it be better for a child to learn about sexual abuse by reading a fictional story in a book with fictional characters? Or would it be better if these topics were discussed by professional teachers and parents with whom the kids interact on a daily basis? If we really want to educate our kids and protect them from various forms of abuse, perhaps a structured program would be more effective rather than the random reading of a little-known sexually explicit novel. So I have a proposal. Why not include in the school curriculum some courses on these topics, these sensitive issues? They could be taught by respected, trusted, and qualified teachers who have no ideological agenda. These courses could be included in the wellness program, which I know exists here, which now only addresses nutrition and physical exercise. And the program could be developed by the district's advisory health council. Supplemental presentations to these courses could be provided by school counselors, psychologists, county child welfare personnel, sociologists, or adult victims of past abuse. To develop educational refinement, the language used in these classes should be academic or clinical descriptions of the actions, the body parts, and the consequences expressed in age-appropriate terms.
Thank you, sir. We have a lot of people to speak tonight, so we've got to keep solid on time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We have Robin Rita and then Laura Foster on deck.
Robin Reed, Perkins Borough. I come to you tonight as for the first time as a Penridge alum, which is really exciting. As I sat through the hours of committee meetings last night and I guess early this morning, all I could think about was how happy I was to be done here. Don't get me wrong, I've been blessed by the most amazing teachers, guidance counselors, administrators, and principals all through my time here. But I seem to have been a student at Penridge's peak. With the direction the school district is going, I fear for the students who come after me. It truly breaks my heart as I watch the opportunities stripped from these students. Most recently, this is manifested in the changes to the supervisor position. To entertain one underexperienced and underqualified man to replace these 4 professionals is a joke. As I watched Jordan Adams' presentation last night, I was floored by how elementary it was. Half of the presentation was Jordan explaining the curriculum outline that you gave him. That is not anything new, that is just what you have given him. Further, my jaw dropped when his first recommendation was more books. Groundbreaking. It feels like a suggestion that I would have offered in 3rd grade. Has Jordan Adams, genuine question, spoken to a middle schooler? I wonder what gave him the notion that an 8th grader might be prepared for Wuthering Heights or passages from Julius Caesar. Do you know where students read passages by Julius Caesar? 12th grade AP Lit. So it was clear after last night that Jordan Adams is not fit to select books for our middle school students. It's almost as if we need vetted, qualified, and experienced professionals to decide what books kids read. Or in other words, our curriculum supervisors. I think that the most insulting part of last night was the presentation about the role of the supervisors. The blatantly incorrect information was rough, but when it was called out, and correctly so, the lack of justification or even a response was shocking.
Yes.
This situation is not something to be taken lightly because it's going to affect 7,000 children and all the children who come after us. So it really just does not make that much sense to me how that's like justifiable. Rayson Cormack, I'm talking to you. I know where everybody else's votes are going to lie, and you do too. So it's up to you to make that right choice and step up, please. Thank you.
Laura Foster, and next up, Foster Corner.
Laura Foster, East Rock Hill. Man, I really hope that Bob and Dave here had an impact on the new decision about what's happening, presumably keeping the curriculum supervisors. If you did, I really appreciate you doing that. It means a lot to us. I really hope, yeah, give them credit, man. Hopefully they did this. I don't know if they did or not. Some cases are maybe saying otherwise. If you did, I really appreciate it. I hope that you continue to follow the right path and do the right thing. Robin made some excellent points about that presentation. I can't help but make some comments about the graphs. So I know we didn't get any information on where any of her information came from. There's no references or anything. But guess what? I found the graphs. Where do you think that I found them? Oh my gosh, so I don't know if you guys heard this guy. His name is Larry Arnn. He's the president of Hillsdale College. He puts out a newsletter, and this is the same graph. Does this look familiar to you? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, this is a little suspicious to me. So kind of moving forward, I just want to acknowledge that not one person spoke of Vermillion last night, right? Not one person spoke of eliminating the data support coach. I hope that that's a part of the conversation as well, that her position stays because it is critical and needed. Obviously, we need someone that understands data, that's helpful here, to have some background on it. Not one person up there spoke in our audience spoke in favor of your illegal bathroom policy. There are two people on this stage tonight who can change this and listen to logic and reason and compassion and science, right? Listen to our community. Dave and Bob, please listen to your community and do the right thing. Since yesterday, the petition that we have against Vermillion to stop Vermillion has gotten over 144 more signatures to it. So we are at a place where we are over 1,400 concerned citizens that are asking you to stop this contract. Literally, all you have to do is to say, I want to put a vote up to end this contract, and do it. You can't honestly have heard this dude's presentation and been like, yes, we made the right decision here. Did anyone listen to Russell? Did anyone listen to Russell's comment about the qualifications by the state which is needed for curriculum? This guy has none of them. He openly admitted it. Why would you allow this to happen? I mean, is it illegal now? Are we going to be in another lawsuit because we're having someone that's completely unqualified to be advising on curriculum? You too know what the right thing is to do. Stop hiding behind your laptops, stop hiding behind your water bottles, speak up and ignore these other crazies and do the right thing. Thank you.
Ross McLennan and Tom Marco on deck.
Okay, Ross McLennan, Hilltowns. So, hey Amy, love you.
Hi, Ross. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, all this stuff. Wow. Jordan Adams is I think he was just as embarrassed as we were last night. That's what I got out of it, watching the poor guy's face, okay? I really did. I was tired last night, but I had an epiphany, okay? I want to thank, especially the Moms for Liberty, for bringing this group together. Honestly. I mean, 2 years ago, longer than that, I started to watch this. I'm like, what is going on here? We're having conversations about engineering and, the adult program, because I'm interested in that stuff, and the swimming. It's all gone. It'll come back. It'll definitely come back. The swimming will come back. We'll get back in there. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about sexualization last night. What was that all about? That was odd. Anyway, my point is, hi Jane. I have friends now here. I do. We all see each other, okay? We're gonna walk down the street and we're gonna see these two. And we're gonna smile. And I'll get your name right the next time. Okay? Thank you very much.
Tom Murtha, and next up, Dawn Curing.
Okay.
Next after Dawn would be Lisa Rogers.
Tom Murtha, Hilltown. I was going to address the supervisor thing, but obviously you guys have reconsidered. I really hope that in good faith that Jordan Adams can, show the respect that the supervisors have deserved through their, efforts leading up till now. And, after just being here for a bunch of these meetings and maybe culminating in last night, I got to come back to Joan's suggestion of a retreat, where maybe I think there's a lot of professional expertise and just adulthood on the board that's not being tapped into. And I think you guys need to maybe come together as a group and figure that out. Thank you.
Lisa Rogers, and next up, Corey Shipman on deck.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Rogers. I'm from Percy Borough. I had two sons who graduated from the Penridge School District. And quite honestly, like the student said, I'm kind of glad they're already through the district. Because after watching at home what's going on, I'm embarrassed. And I'm sad. I'm sad for the students who aren't being listened to. I'm sad for the teachers who, I heard them speak that they're not even getting the cost of, you're not even offering them the cost of living raise. Hopefully that's changed. They are excellent educators and they don't deserve being treated the way they are, and also there's no respect from the board to anybody, to students, to administrators, to staff. I'm so thankful that you reconsidered the curriculum supervisor role, because they are the people I want as a taxpayer writing the curriculum with the teachers who have been trained, who know what they're doing. I don't want somebody from Vermillion who stood here last night and obviously had no idea what he was talking about. I'm more concerned at, I read the right to know letter Dr. Bolton was trying to question the board about. Why was this presented like less than 48 hours before? We've talked about transparency. There is no transparency. There is no transparency. This guy, and everybody has said it, is connected to the Hillsdale project. Right? This isn't in the best interest of our students. Students are talking to you, parents are talking to you. I now, as a taxpayer, am talking to you. I don't want my taxpayer money spent on Vermillion. I want my taxpayer money spent to support the teachers and the staff and the administrators of public school districts. I'm sad. I'm sad at the direction this district is moving. And I'm angry. And I'm angry, it just seems like as I sit and watch these meetings that people have their own agendas. And I listened to this gentleman who just came up, and I agree. You guys need to talk to each other. Watching you argue with each other up there on stage is not what you were put in this position to do. You are here for the community. You are here for the students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Corey Shipman, and next on deck is Matt Carbonaro.
Good evening. I put this comment together before the decision to table the curriculum supervisor decision was made, but I still think it's relevant to read because I think my perspective is relevant going forward until those decisions are no longer on the table. So this is my first time attending a school board meeting in person and my first time giving a public comment. After watching last night's meeting virtually, I thought that it was important for me to be here in person. I'm a 2020 graduate of Penridge, and this fall I'll be a senior at the University of Pittsburgh studying molecular biology and beginning an accelerated Master of Public Health and Epidemiology. One of the things I've learned through these science-heavy school programs, as well as my internship in pharmaceutical research with Johnson & Johnson this summer, is the importance of data.
Yes.
In science, good decisions are those that are made after thorough, non-biased investigation conducted by a multidisciplinary team of well-qualified individuals. Evidence generation is absolutely critical when making decisions that have far-reaching impact. Decisions that are made without first conducting these investigations and without clear and meaningful data are often high risk and jeopardize their stakeholders. In the world of pharma that I'm currently being exposed to, stakeholders are often fellow employees, patients, physicians, and investors in the company. Here at Penn Ridge, however, the stakeholders are our children. They are our families and our neighbors. They are our teachers who have shown up tonight and last night to show you their passion for this district and their concerns with the direction it's heading. I believe that the board has not conducted enough investigation at this time into the benefit of curriculum supervisors. The minimal and flawed data that has been presented thus far does not seem to me to be significant enough to terminate the positions of the curriculum supervisors, and I'm happy to see that you agree. Last night, one of the board members cited other districts that didn't have curriculum supervisors. I'm very concerned that the data put forth was inaccurate and unreferenced. Yes. To those that work in data-heavy industries like I do, we know that when you start with flawed data, your conclusions are invalid. In fact, the only meaningful evidence that I've seen so far has been what the teachers have shared with us in public comment about the incalculable benefit that curriculum supervisors have historically provided for our district. In fact, there was unanimous opposition by every single member of the audience that spoke last night. That's the data we actually have. So if you are going to make a decision that goes against this data, there needs to be supportive evidence that backs it. There needs to be data that clearly and meaningfully contradicts the primary sources of our teachers and staff, and it needs to be shared with the public. I'll finish by reminding you that young people, both recent graduates and current students, are watching you. We are the ones being impacted by your decisions, and we're well aware of it. Election day is soon, and we vote too. Thank you.
I would if we could all just be in order for a second. The gentleman was mistaken. It's not the University of Pittsburgh. For some of us, it's the Harvard of the West. So I encourage him to refer to
Go
it
State.
appropriately. State. Is that an accredited school?
It is an accredited school.
Sorry.
Careful, sir.
Pardon me. I don't want to start another fight.
Matt Carbonaro, and next up, Ian Gray. One day.
Hard to top that comment. Good evening, Matt Carbonaro, Percy Borough. My public comment relates to the Vermillion contract. I am a graduate of 2014. I'm actually coming from a different perspective on this issue. Actually, as a conservative, that actually opposes this contract for some reasons, not all the way, but somewhat disapprove of it. I'm someone who believes in the importance of teaching civics at school. We should be teaching our students about the fundamentals and principles that form the bedrock of this amazing country. My concern with this contract, however, it has nothing whatsoever to do with teaching civics. My concern is seriously flawed in this process about the approval of this contract. Many on this board talk a big game about the importance of fiscal responsibility, and I thought those board members would be the first ones to push back on the Vermillion contract. The board seems to be in a rush to pay someone who we know nothing about, and it will affect the taxpayers of the Penn Ridge community like myself. The Vermillion contract issue to me is just a cherry on top of what I classify maybe as the worst and divisive year in the school board. Most of this could have been prevented if we had leadership working behind the scenes to bridge the divide between the two factions that had developed on the board. Quite frankly, there has not been one olive branch extended at all. The usual board retreat was not held, and minority board members have not been given chair positions on committees of significance. I applaud the following people: Jonathan Russell, Christine Patiski, Ron Wards, and Joan Cullen for listening to the community, students, and teachers over the course of the school year and not steamrolling their political and personal agendas at the expense of the process and transparency. I know that comment may come back to bite me and friendships may be lost, but I don't care anymore. Thank you for all and have a great summer.
Thank
up Carolyn Serrano.
Ian Granick, Hilltown. So we just got back from a trip to Canada. Canada is one of 3 countries on the continent of North America, the mainland part. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. And I share that fact for the sake of our students who would normally in other districts learn facts like that in a class called social studies. Now you might remember social studies. It's one of those subjects that you're trying to ban. Speaking of banning, so we're in Toronto. It's really a lovely city, and I recommend everybody try to visit. Well, maybe not you. See, Toronto is one of the most diverse cities in the entire world. And we know how you feel about diversity. That it's racist. And that it makes white people, especially white nationalist people, feel bad about themselves. No, white nationalists do not like diversity. And you don't like facts. That was an opinion. So, I'm in Toronto and I start to read Searching for Alaska. And I'm ready. You see, Searching for Alaska is one of the books that you're trying to ban. So, I'm prepared for sexual debauchery, maybe a recipe for ricin, schematics for dirty bombs. Whew, what a letdown. See, it's just a story. And I'm like, I don't get it. So I go back to that banned book list and I look at it. Mark Twain, Toni Morrison, Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury, who by the way wrote Fahrenheit 451, a book about the dangers of banning books. Huh? So, these are classics, right? Required reading for generations of young Americans. And I realized the one thing that all these books have in common. Ideas. Ideas that stay with you, ideas that get you thinking. Being exposed to ideas taught me how to distinguish good ideas from bad ones, how to exercise judgment, how to differentiate fact from fiction, fact from opinions, how to appreciate and be challenged by diversity, equity, inclusion. In short, how to be a champion of freedom and democracy. By the way, all those topics would be taught in a unit called civics as part of a course called, now wait for it, social studies. But why wouldn't we want our children to be exposed to ideas? To learn to think for themselves, to themselves become champions of freedom and democracy. What possible reason would anyone want to interfere with that? And that's when I got it. That's what I got what this was all really about, what this battle has always been about. And it is not protecting your children. Thank you.
Carolyn Serrano. And
Sharino.
She's under. Sharino, I'm sorry. And Bradley Merkelko. And Amy Johnson on deck.
Wait, no.
Amy, sorry.
Amy already spoke. She is, perhaps signed up for the next one closing, so the person after.
Sorry about that.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm really happy I get to be up here to thank you tonight. So thank you for listening to the outpouring of community support for your curriculum supervisors last night, after an extremely long night and morning. I hope that that consideration is going to be provided to our district's data analysts as well, and it won't just go to the curriculum supervisors. Last night we were here until 1:30 in the morning. In that long meeting, I saw a poorly constructed argument from your outside consultant that showed an absolute lack of knowledge of even a basic level of curriculum design, a lack of knowledge of the PA standards, no understanding of scope and sequence of our school's curriculum, and he made recommendations that were stale and superficial at best, with little detail to really help us create a better curriculum. We then saw our district's curriculum supervisors react with poise and professionalism. to explain our district's curricular choices, the realities of curriculum design and what that looks like, and the ways in which Mr. Adams' curriculum suggestions failed to even meet the basic level of knowledge of what our curriculum is all about. It was a privilege to be here and hear them speak. Their knowledge, their care for our staff, their care for our students and our community shone bright. The supervisors are clearly a credit and a benefit to our children and this community, and I'm glad that you've chosen to recognize them. I really wish that the juxtaposition of our district's knowledgeable professionals and the lack of care for our children shown by this board had stopped there. But we then had our time wasted in the personnel committee meeting by the majority, as you attempted to justify then firing them. This presentation included misleading, inaccurate, in some cases fabricated statistics that you tried to use to justify that. Honestly, you would have benefited probably from running it by them first, so that you could have gotten their feedback, had a little bit of a stronger case and argument to make. Please, I implore you, continue to listen to your community. Get rid of the inexperienced consultant. Start respecting your professionals, our students, and the Penridge community you're supposed to serve. Thank you for swallowing your pride today. As I know that it's going to be difficult. Finally, as an aside, I would like to take a moment to thank Dr. Bolton for his leadership in this district and wish him well in the future.
Next up, we have Jane Kramer, and on deck we have Dawn Curie. Wait,
She did not speak. No. So Adam Benson.
Adam Benson, he would be on deck.
Now?
Yes, Ms. Kramer, yes.
Hi, Jane Kramer, Sellersville. Just a few thoughts I wanted to share about the Vermillion presentation last night. One is, I thought that the intention of the board was to have Vermillion come in and do an overlay. What I saw in that really poorly done presentation last night was a complete curriculum dismantling. It wasn't an overlay. So I just feel like it's not a good idea to proceed with this, and really encourage the board to terminate the contract with Vermillion. Another concern I have about the contract with Vermillion in the presentation last night was how mental health was perceived by the consultant, and some of his recommendations around that. Putting our heads in the sand by getting rid of pays, by taking away books that talk about sensitive topics like sexual abuse or suicide, it's not going to stop people from being sexually abused or by dying by suicide. What stops that is awareness and education. So I encourage the board, if you really feel that the way mental health information is presented in the school, pull together some real experts. Pull together your local community, Penn Foundation, pull them in. The school has partnered with them for years and years and years. So I just implore the board, because, in watching these meetings with my good friend Ross for the past few years, it just seems that there's not a lot of thought put into the board's actions and proposals other than looking at the Moms for Liberty playbook. So please, utilize our local experts. Don't go out there willy-nilly. And I do want to just thank the board for their decision to table eliminating those curriculum supervisor positions. We learned last night that they are absolutely vital. Thank you.
Adam Benson, Next on deck would be Jinx Smalls.
Adam Benchick, East Rock Hill. So I was going to talk about the personnel report and the curriculum supervisors, but so I guess I'll just say thank you for tabling it. Hopefully this isn't something hopefully it's more like a permanent table, but I guess time will tell. Some other things I wanted to talk about real quick were some transparency issues. I noticed that there were a lot of amended minutes on the consent calendar. I was hoping that you could go into a little bit of depth and just let us know why they are on there. I'm going to reiterate my request from last night, asking you to please try and release the agenda more than 24 hours in advance. Seemed like common practice was in the past to do it 72 hours. So try and get back to that. And I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
James Smalls and Molly Murphy on deck.
Jinx Smalls, Sellersville, freshman, transgender non-binary, and I've been using they them pronouns for the last 4 years. I'm also biracial, half African American, if you weren't aware. Yesterday I spoke on Policy 720 and was able to sit through half of the meeting. I've watched them in the past, but yesterday I actually got to sit here and watch how incompetent a group of adults can be. You guys can't even have a conversation without talking over each other. I've run debates in my gifted classes that were more structured than these meetings. I'm frankly embarrassed to call this my school. I have friends in Warrington, and when they ask me what school I go to, I tell them Penridge, and they usually respond with something along the lines of, I feel sorry for you. I don't want to be up here right now, I really don't, but I'm not going to sit here and let people who are 15 years or more older than me tell me how I should feel about a book or what bathroom I can and cannot use. And if you are a student listening to me right now, I implore you, come up here and speak your mind, because the only way that we are going to get our point through your heads is if you hear it from us, the students. Last time I checked, you're not the ones living at this school every day like I am. You will never understand how hard it is to be an LGBTQ+ student and as an African American student in a public school. Because if you did, you wouldn't keep creating these policies that make it harder for us to just exist. Some of you are way too close-minded and lack so much common sense to be board members, and the fact that a 14-year-old student can point that out to you should tell you something. I have faced enough discrimination in all of my years at Penridge from anyone and everyone, and I certainly don't need to hear it from a bunch of adults who can't even have a civilized conversation with each other. The books, come on. The excerpt you read yesterday was just unnecessary, and frankly, I hear worse stuff at school every day. Yes. You think these books are going to harm people? Well, maybe you should stop worrying about the students. Maybe you should start worrying about the students harming each other verbally and physically. You guys are worried about a couple of books when you should be worried about more important stuff. A student picks up a mature book knowing what the contents will be, and they read it. If the student isn't interested in books with that content in it, they don't read it. It's that simple. I don't know why all of you guys are trying to overcomplicate the things. You need to get your priorities straight. The community is sitting here screaming for justice. Why aren't you listening? How are you so tone deaf? How do you expect me to be Penridge proud when this is who's representing us? The parents, the teachers, and students should be looking up to you, but instead I have people looking up to me and all the others working up to make a difference. Hiring Vermilion is a dangerous path to take and will be detrimental to our education. All Vermilion will do is sugarcoat everything and avoid what needs to be taught. You want to shield your students from this negativity. This isn't the way to do it. We need to learn about the real world, not some utopia you want to pretend that we live in. Yes. We are going to universities in big cities and other states, and none of us are going to be prepared for it because you are hindering our learning. On Vermilion's website, they use a quote, knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Do you know anything about slaves? Do you know anything about slavery? Were any of your ancestors slaves? How tone deaf can you be? I am not leaving. The queer people and the people of color are here to stay, so even if you don't teach your students about us, we are still here, and we're not leaving.
Thank you.
Molly Murphy, and I am a student at North Middle School. I am against removing our curriculum supervisors. Here's just a bit of my experience with the current reading and language arts curriculum. Being a student going through the 7th grade and having a great experience in my analysis fiction and nonfiction class, or in simpler terms, a semester of reading class, I found it incredibly sad to hear about the possible removal of Tears of a Tiger. I feel that the book spreads real-life information and shares issues some people, including adults, are afraid to talk about. The book talks about social issues regarding race inequality and suicide. Although they might sound like heavy topics, I know for certain this book changed on how I look at the world. This book taught me so many important life lessons that are often overlooked. I feel that we should be openly discussing heavy topics like children who experience thoughts of suicide or what racism looks and feels like instead of ignoring it. I know that this one book brought my tiny English class closer together. In our class full of different races and backgrounds, we came together to talk about how we can prevent racism and help people who are suicidal. It was eye-opening, and I'm very grateful my English teacher taught us that it is okay to talk about real-world problems. I know that by not speaking on issues of our world only create more. We should be spreading awareness and addressing what's wrong with our society instead of insinuating shame, and these problems don't exist at all. That's all.
Hi, my name is Kate Murphy, and I'm from Bedminster Township. I'm commenting tonight as a parent of 2 middle school students to urge you to reconsider the abolishment of the curriculum supervisor positions. I know right now it's tabled. I hope that it is tabled forever. I heard a lot of talk last night back and forth about what is appropriate for these students. It is my belief that our curriculum supervisors have a firm grasp on that, and they make sure it is incorporated at the age-appropriate time for our children. My daughter, Molly, just finished up her 7th grade year at North. She had AF and F on her 2nd semester. The 2 novels she read were The Outsiders and Tears of a Tiger. Those books made her excited to read, discuss, and analyze the subject matter. Every day, I heard about that class and those books. When I told her they might possibly be up for removal from the curriculum with the proposed changes, she immediately asked if she could come to the meeting to address how Tears of a Tiger led to the best classroom discussions she has ever had, how it helped her to see perspectives other than her own, how it helped her to grow as a person. She wants her brother to have that same experience in 2 years. I do too. I listened to Mrs. Sarah Raber speak last night. She is an asset to our school district. If we let her go, what a huge mistake that will be. Please, for the continued education and growth of our children, keep these dedicated, enthusiastic, consummate professionals in their rightful place as curriculum supervisors. Thank you.
Silas Nathan, and next on deck is Kevin Foster.
Silas Nathan, Hilltown Township. I'm one of the Penridge GSA's co-leaders, and I'm trans and gender fluid. I felt that it was important for me to speak tonight because I think it's important for the school board to hear students' perspectives. I'm a rising senior at Penridge High School, and I've been in this school district for 5 years, going on 6. In all of that time, I have never seen or heard any issues regarding students going into the wrong bathroom and hurting others or even causing panic. It's so blatantly obvious that you're trying to restrict transgender students from going into their preferred bathroom, and the only possible reason for this is transphobia. Policy 720 is illegal, and trans students going into the bathroom that corresponds to their gender shouldn't be and isn't an issue. Let me ask you this. If a trans student goes into the bathroom that corresponds with their biological sex, won't that cause more confusion from other students and harassment to the trans student? Congratulations, because you've managed to make going to the bathroom stressful and in some cases dangerous to trans students. School is supposed to be a safe place. Everyone should have the right to use the bathroom that corresponds to their gender identity, and I think that at a high school level, most, if not all kids, are mature enough to realize that. I urge you to really think about how Policy 720 will affect students in your district. Please reconsider this policy. Thank you.
Kevin Foster, and next up
glasses down here too.
Oh, they're mine, Kevin. Thanks, Bill.
You're my friends too, by the way.
Look, we've done a really good job of staying in order. Let's just keep staying in order. Mr. Foster, you have the floor.
Kevin Foster, Hilltown Township. I wanted to start off and just say I'm saddened to hear of Dr. Bolden's departure and the buyout agreement mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. I do wish him well in his recovery. One observation is that his retirement date is 7 days before the November election. And my question for the board is, when does the board plan to hire his replacement? Now I just wanted to pivot and talk about Vermillion and the supervisors. Two of the biggest issues in recent years in Penridge are currently in front of the community. The first thing, elimination of administrative positions by the Penridge School Board based on blatantly incorrect analysis attempting to blame them for our rankings decline, which appears to have been temporarily tabled. And the second item, the secretive contract signed with the political firm Vermillion Education to change a substantial amount of our students' curriculum. What many may not know is that 3 members sitting up here tonight will not be there in December of this year. Mr. Rice was defeated in the primary, and Mrs. Cullen and Bannis Clemens are not running for re-election. There are 10 members of our community who are running for the 5 open seats on the stage this fall. All but 4 of them have made their feelings known about Vermillion and the termination of our curriculum supervisors. Josh Hogan, Jim York, Barbara Vies, and Bob Sellers are all running, and a few are present in the audience tonight. Mr. Hogan, Mr. York, Mr. Sellers, and Mrs. Vies, the community needs to hear from you on these critical issues facing Penridge. Your thoughts on Vermillion and the termination of the curriculum supervisors are incredibly important for the community to hear. There is a sign-up sheet at the entrance to this room where I urge you to sign up and speak to the community in the second comment period to clarify your positions. This community will have an incredibly important decision to make on November 7th, and you owe it to all of them to tell them where you stand.
On deck.
Joan Coleza, principal at Grass Elementary School. I attended last night's committee meeting and expected that following initial public comment, there would be a true discussion of the merits or non-merits of the issues, with input and participation from all board members present. These expectations were based on my own 8 years of experience as a Penridge board member. During those 8 years, I worked with 13 different board members of varying backgrounds and political party affiliation. We came to committee meetings prepared to ask questions and engage in respectful discussion. That is not what has been happening at board and committee meetings lately, and certainly not what happened in the meetings last night. Inaccurate and misleading information was presented as factual. 4 board members asked pertinent questions, engaged in the discussion. 2 members neither asked questions, made comments, nor expressed their opinions, even when implored to do so. Adding insult to injury, some members tried to convince us that the removal of the supervisors was based on their desire to provide more TA and PCA support in classrooms. However, if that were true, then that discussion would have occurred in January, February, and March when budget was being discussed, including personnel and staffing. It did not. In fact, the proposed elimination of the supervisors was concurrent with the approval of the Vermillion contract, since the supervisors were first told about it in mid to late May. It is obvious to all that the motivation to abolish the supervisors was to remove the oversight of our true curriculum experts so that Mr. Adams' work could go unchecked. His presentation last night showed his complete lack of knowledge of academic standards, existing scope and sequence, and developmentally appropriate curriculum. Frankly, it was as if he asked Alexa to show him curriculum and presented that to the board. Clearly, the supervisors are gravely needed to provide that oversight. So I am grateful that you now have reconsidered and changed course. The assertion that it was to provide more classroom support to students was completely disingenuous. It reminds me of the scene from The Wizard of Oz when Toto rips the curtain exposing the wizard to Dorothy and her friends. They saw him for what he truly was. The curtain was ripped away last night and it exposed the dysfunction of this board and the lack of respect and responsiveness to administration, staff, students, parents, and the community at large. I sincerely hope that the tabling of the supervisor vote tonight signals a change in how you will represent the best interests of the Penridge School District moving forward. We deserve that. Thank you.
Erica Henry, next on deck is Julia Rash.
Hi, I'm Erica Henry, a resident of Bedminster. I'm a 2002 Penridge grad, a Penridge parent of 4 children, and I'm a Penridge kindergarten teacher. I love my job, and I've always been Penridge proud, but this week, we don't feel it. Everything that I would want to say about my disapproval of Vermillion and the elimination of our supervisors has already been said. My question is, why aren't you listening? When my son Carter stood here in front of you as a passionate and hopeful baseball player at North Middle School, you listened to him and his friends. They came out because they believed in something and wanted to make a positive change. And I was so proud of this controversial board because you listened to them and you helped them make change. You even implemented it a year early because you believed in them. Middle school students got to play baseball for Penridge. And here we now stand, passionate Penridge teachers whose contract is up in 9 days. In other districts across the country, the teachers would be at the school board in solidarity for their contract. But here we are, off for the summer, standing up for our students, the curriculum we believe in, and our supervisors. Since I was hired in 2007, I've never felt more supported by our administration. Our supervisors are team players with the teachers who fulfill the leadership that we need. I fear what our roles will look like without it. Who will ensure equity, alignment of curriculum, partnership across the district? Who will be checking in on pacing to make sure we are getting through our curriculum? Who will be advocating for conferences for us for continued learning? Sarah Raver has offered primary teachers to enroll in additional foundations courses that will connect our teaching to the science of reading to produce more proficient readers, which we need. I am the new full-day kindergarten teacher at Bedminster for next year, and I am so excited. I was so looking forward to collaborating with Howard Vogel next year on the gaps in math to build a better number sense for these children that come to me because they need to build their foundational skills. He is an incredibly smart man whose hands-on learning with my class could impact all future Penridge students. Because that's what we do at Penridge. We collaborate, we work together. The only positive that has come out of the situation is that we realize that we educators are stronger than ever here at Penridge. I am asking those of you who doubt our supervisors to please take a moment to rethink your vote. After a very mediocre presentation last night, our supervisors proved their knowledge and worth with their feedback. Without them, your teachers are not aligned. Our plates are too full. We require leadership for our success. You will find that teachers likely will have to just do what they have to do individually. But that is not best for our students, our kids, their future. You listen to my son and his baseball-loving friends. Please listen. We are desperate, hopeful Penridge teachers who love this community, and we need you to believe in us. It's okay to change your vote. Maybe you too realized after last night's meeting that you've changed your mind. The community will respect you for doing what's right for your kids, for our kids, for Penridge. Thank you.
And next up, Robin Reedy.
Leah Foster-Ash, Hilltown Township. I had so many things to say, but everyone's doing such a great job. I'm going to jump to some administrative things. I will ask again to please explain why board oversight of all instructional programs and any changes to those programs are part of the survey's policy. If you approve that policy tonight and cannot explain that, what that means, I could be misunderstanding that, but please set it straight why that's in there. You're approving a policy that you yourself cannot explain. The books from the facilities, the last meeting that was tabled because we were supposed to add more reasons why each book was removed. It looks exactly the same. I don't think that's on there. Is it on the list? It still just says what they are. Again, you all should know which books on that list are being permanently removed from the shelves. If you do not, you are approving a list without understanding what you are approving and why.
Yes.
The bathroom policy is still illegal. Please explain why you're okay with approving this when your solicitor advised you not to. All right, now what I really want to say. This is a research belt around here, and there's a lot of people, I mean, someone just talked about pharma, made me very proud. A lot of people who understand research, data, certainly not just me. And I foolishly, every time you guys present something, have this idea of like, oh, maybe that's something I don't know. And then I dig into it, and I'm like, no, it's just complete fabrication and lies. And you never own it, you never explain it. So being aghast at like a 12-to-1 ratio from teachers to supervisor, most large companies, the ratio is 10-to-1 from employee to manager. The reason being because you don't want to lose that knowledge and expertise as someone moves up. So if you're moving up and you have 30 people reporting to you, you're 100% of your time just doing management, and you're not able to contribute your knowledge in that area of expertise and actually help your employees. It's real data behind that.
Yes.
But again, I'm not surprised. One of the reasons I started paying attention was most of you openly endorsing Reopen PA, which again, as someone who works in research, I couldn't believe you believe that. Finally, I'm very sad, mildly jealous that Dr. Bolton is retiring, but mostly I'm scared. There is a safety net below you that is the administration, the teachers, and the students of the school that are creating a space in spite of you that's helpful for learning and conducive for learning. You are chipping away from it. It's not even a net, honestly. Like, it is a full-blown structure of trying to protect our school from you. And they're doing an amazing job, so keep pulling them out.
Thank you, Mrs. Rush.
Have fun.
Robin Levy, and next on deck is Bob Cousineau. Robin, you said you could pass?
I don't think she's.
Oh.
Face.
Hi, I'm Robin Levy. I'm from Bedminster. Again, what to say? Thank you for tabling the supervisors, curriculum supervisors. I really would like to know if that's permanent or if we're just kicking the can down the road. Because these poor people have to sit there while you guys decide about their futures. Their health insurance, their ability to pay their mortgage, their kids. And what you've told us tonight is kicking it down the road. I appreciate that you did it. I really, really do. But what can you actually tell them for the future? On a different note, I wanted to address the book that was read, the excerpt that was read yesterday. And you know, there's a phrase like life imitating art, and sometimes art imitates life, and I consider literature to be art. And if there are hard things in your life and you can't see it reflected somewhere, you think you're the only one. I can tell you from personal experience, not myself, but someone that I know that's very close to me, was watching a movie with Michael Keaton. He was 15 years old. The content was difficult. It was about alcoholism and drug addiction. And this person walked into the kitchen and said to me, "That is me." He didn't know that that was him. But he does now, he did now, and he sought out help. What if a child doesn't realize they're being groomed or abused? And they read that book and they see themselves. and they say, oh my God, that's me. If you take that away from them, just because it's explicit, it's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's not erotica. Give them the opportunity to read. Thank you.
Bob Fusino, Emily Stokes on deck.
Bob Cousino, Citadel Borough, Pembridge High School social studies teacher. I asked you guys last night, I requested that you say no and end this. And I want to thank you for tabling the supervisor decision. However, I'm going to ask you now not to table it. I want you to take a vote on it. I want you to say no, and I want you to end this. I was also directly talking about ending Jordan Adams here at Pembridge. So we got more work to do. And I'm also requesting that we end this guy's contract tonight. When I was thinking this morning about last night's meeting, a couple things popped up to me that I kept coming back to. The first thing was that we watched Jordan Adams and we watched our curriculum supervisors, and you guys still are saying, let's keep this guy. It's mind-blowing. Another thing that stands out to me that I would like for you guys to address tonight is the 9th grade curriculum. I think that is getting lost. We have a problem here right now. It is June 21st, and we do not have a 9th grade curriculum that's been approved for next year, except for the one that we already have. We have 500 plus 9th graders coming in without a curriculum that's been approved. You created this problem. You are not the victim. You created this problem. You decided to decrease social studies, and you mandated that we create a new course. And now we have this problem in front of us. And we told you, and we made it very clear, that these problems may confront us. We told you about a public comment, we mentioned it in meetings, we wrote op-eds on this, and now we have this problem in front of us. And I would like you guys to address this, because we need to have a curriculum. And from my understanding, it takes a couple months to get through the board. So we may have to go with the curriculum that we have approved already for next year, not this new one. Ms. Blomgren, I'm very disappointed in some of your comments last night. You said, and you accused us social studies teachers essentially going on protest and not writing that curriculum. Yes, we didn't want to, but those 9th grade teachers stepped up and they wrote that curriculum. And then you told them, or someone up here told them, to pause. That is not on them. That is on you.
Yes.
I think you owe us an apology for that. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
And next on deck is Evelyn Lockhart.
Emily Stokes, Pembridge teacher, but born and raised in Percy Borough. I used to say that I was the definition of Pembridge proud. My parents both taught here for over 35 years. I went here from kindergarten through 12th grade and graduated in 2005. And now I've taught here since I graduated college in 2009 at Seiler Elementary. I somehow even convinced my husband to come teach at Pembridge and coach at Pembridge because of how much I love this community. Everything in my life was green and white, and everything Rams. I moved to Quakertown somehow with my family and have been itching to get back to my hometown of Percy ever since. Quakertown is our rival, and how could I ever wear blue and white and cheer for the Panthers? Here's how. They support their students. They care about their staff. And they listen to their community. I'm an autistic support teacher who needs teaching assistants and personal care assistants for my classroom to function. But guess what? I had an open PCA personal care assistant position in my classroom available all year, and it was never filled because there aren't people applying for those jobs. Guess who was there to support and help my students in my classroom? All of the supervisors and coaches in this district. The positions you want to add will not be filled, as I've seen year after year. So with your plan, the students and teachers will just be left with less support, less resources, and less opportunities. So hopefully your decision to table is because you realize how necessary these supervisors are. Make this community proud again. The clapping you heard all last night and tonight isn't for you. It's for the community who is trying to get you to listen. Make me and all the people who have and will resign want to work here again. Make me want to move back to Penn Ridge.
Evelyn Lockhart, West Rock Hill Township. I'm an incoming freshman. I just finished my 8th grade year at South Middle School, and I loved my school. I loved all my teachers, and I just really wanted to speak tonight because, like everyone has said, I'm worried about the direction that our school district is headed due to the reckless choices being made by some members of the school board. I'm sure I sound like a broken record to you all, but you're clearly not listening, and things need to be repeated, so here I am. Throughout my life at Penn Ridge, I've received an amazing education from my teachers, from elementary up to now. It sickens me to see the lack of trust, faith, and respect that you have to our educators. There's none. There's none. I want to attend a school where I can read the books I want to read. I want to be able to learn everything about our nation's history, the good and the bad. I want to learn the truth. But I also want the truths of life to be accessible too. I don't want to go to college and into the real world with sugar-coated knowledge because you want to avoid real problems. You say that you're banning these books because they're too sexual or depressing, too real for these kids to handle. But by not letting them learn about these situations and experiences, they can't learn when to recognize if it could be happening to them, leaving them more vulnerable, like I've heard many people say tonight. Another thing, I'd like to talk about is Vermillion, obviously. Anyone with common sense could see that yesterday's presentation by Jordan Adams was a complete joke. I'm sorry, he has absolutely no understanding of child development at all. This is clearly proved by his bright idea to teach first graders world history. Can we please leave the curriculum development to the real experts, your teachers, the teachers, please. Not someone whose only experience in working with a public school was working with a charter school. Wait, no, I'm sorry, a public charter school. Sorry. Is it too much to ask to have an unbiased curriculum? Like you've seen, I aced my civics test this year because of my amazing social studies teacher who loved what she was teaching. She made learning enjoyable and engaging, and I had fun in class. Shout out to Miss Grace. And the point is that all this happened without Vermillion. We have accomplished and will continue to accomplish so much more without them. Emphasis on the without part. I'm really scared because I couldn't imagine this district without wonderful teachers like Mrs. Grice and those I was fortunate enough to have at West Rock Hill and South who are clearly passionate about their jobs, but look at what's happening. They're leaving, so I guess I might have to. I came from a family of Penn Ridge graduates and I want to feel the same Penn Ridge pride that they did, so please make the right decisions tonight. Thank you.
And then Schrager, I don't know if I get that right on deck.
Laura White from Sellersville. I've attended a few of these board meetings before, and each time I've been here, I've become more and more disheartened by the direction Penridge is going in. Between the book banning and bathroom policies, Vermillion, and the debate between a stranger or the supervisors, you're really making it clear that you don't care about us. I have a younger sister who's beginning middle school next year, and honestly, I don't want her to be here. I mean, why would I want her to be here when you're choosing a man and his embarrassing presentation over the outcries of your community? How many more voices do you need to hear before you collect yourselves, set your pride aside, and do the right thing? Do you really want to get rid of the people who actually know what they're doing? The supervisors who aim to teach children without bias and politics and inaccuracies? Have you not read the news articles about you all? Are you not embarrassed to be called out by countless people in the community and surrounding it? I spoke last week on the message being sent to the community by banning books, and I'm speaking again tonight to clarify that message, since clearly it didn't get through to you. The message you're sending is that you are all neglectful and ignorant. How many more people do you need to hear from before you wake up and ask yourselves what is best, not for yourselves, but for your students? Thank you.
And on deck, Jen Pelican.
Good evening. My name is Jen Stoltrager. I live in Hilltown, and I'm here to talk to you about my feelings about curriculum supervisors and the contract with Vermillion. I have children at both Seiler and at Central, and another will be attending Seiler in a few years. I'm a teacher and have taught for the past 20 years in Central Bucks School District, teaching 1st and 3rd grade. And I'm deeply concerned about Penridge School District potentially eliminating the curriculum supervisor positions. I know it's tabled, but I'd really love it if it were made known that it's permanently off the table. I know what important along the front lines work district curriculum supervisors do on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. And they know their district, their teachers, and their students. They devote an incredible amount of effort selecting curricula to be vetted, piloted by teachers, analyzing the data from those pilots, and then rolling out with thoughtfulness the implementation of whichever program is deemed best for students. Putting what has always been multifaceted, multi-year processes and decisions of determining curricula into the hands of a third party that lacks references, that lacks a budget, and that lacks any kind of track record is absolutely putting our children's education at risk. Penridge teachers care. I know they care. I guarantee they care. They think relentlessly about the quality of education that they're providing on a daily basis for their students, and we absolutely do not want decisions made for our students that disregard our teachers and supervisors' input and expertise. In fact, our teachers and supervisors do not need anyone like Vermillion. Aside from students' own parents, no one cares more than Penridge faculty and staff about their needs. So I ask you to keep the district supervisors in their positions as they have been and rely on them as a vital part in the curriculum selection process, not Vermillion in any way, shape, or form, or a third party that's similarly situated. Thank you. And I would also like to say I appreciate each one of you that has given me the eye contact and
Please be in order. Please be in order. Ms. Pelichetti. Ms. Pelichetti, your turn.
Just one. And next on deck is Esther Hoffman.
I believe that Ms. Chenoweth is keeping it by hand for some reason, timed out, so.
It's not working.
So, but it's being kept. Thank you. Ms. Pelichetti, I'm sorry.
Hi, Jen Pelichetti, Perksy. I work for a local dental office. I'm very pleased, first of all, to see a lot of my patients here tonight standing up for yourselves as students, so very good for you. Real quickly on the banning books, I have a 6-year-old, and he is absolutely enamored with books, and I am obsessed with the fact that he doesn't stare at a screen all day, so please do not take that from him.
Sorry. Keep going.
Sorry, my fault. I am a Penridge grad, class of 2010. I am a single mom of 2 autistic children, a soon-to-be 2nd grader and a soon-to-be kindergartner. As any parent would, I want them to be respected and treated equally, despite their disabilities. I want them to be loved for the amazing tiny people that they are. I used to be a proud Penridge alumni, and I'll be honest, I'm not anymore. I am horrified for my kids. The only thing that I am proud of at this point in regards to Penridge is these amazing teachers, the people that helped me become the person that I am today. Some of them were at my wedding. Some of them have met my kids. I still have good friendships with them because they are phenomenal human beings, and I am so proud that I got to be taught by them. They know me as well as my own son's teachers now know them. I hate to break it to you all, but no curriculum company is ever going to know my kids better than the teachers that they have right now. They will never take the time to get to know my boys and help them be successful in life and to be the best people that they can be. Every teacher and staff member deserves the respect and praise for the same time that they have spent getting to know my kids and helping them. I am highly considering removing my kids from the district, and that pains me as a Penridge alum because I am so disappointed and embarrassed at what you all are doing to this place. I graduated from here in 2010 dreaming of what the world had in store for me, including one day my kids growing up here and being students here at the school that I loved. But now you all have me questioning whether or not this is the best place for them, and that absolutely breaks my heart, and I know I am not the only parent that feels that way. Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman, and next on deck, Darren Lawson.
Good evening, Esther Hoffner, Percy Borough. I wore my Goose t-shirt because this is where my kids go to school. I will be addressing agenda item 10C tonight. Last night, the community finally got to hear from Mr. Adams regarding the progress he has made and his suggestions concerning the review of some of Penridge's curriculum. And our curriculum supervisors were also here to respond to his suggestions and review. It was abundantly clear from Mr. Adams' suggestions that he did not review Penridge's curriculum in depth. In fact, some of his suggestions we already teach in our curriculum, and he was unaware of where in our curriculum we teach them. He read from a middle school text that he believed had inappropriate content for the age group to which it is presented, while having no context or understanding of why that text was selected. Students have come up tonight to defend keeping this text in the curriculum. Mr. Adams has no experience in public education. He was not educated in public schools himself and has never worked for or developed curriculum for public education. His experience at a public charter school is not the same as working in the public education system. Our curriculum supervisors all have graduate level degrees and beyond related to the field of education that they supervise. Mrs. Raber, RELA curriculum supervisor, was able to address point by point every concern Mr. Adams presented regarding the 7th and 8th grade RELA curriculum that he reviewed. You should not just table item 10C tonight. This item should be completely removed from this agenda and not placed on any future school board meeting agendas. If this agenda item is not approved to be tabled tonight, I am urging all of you to vote no on the agenda item titled Approval of Abolishment of Curriculum Supervisors. Thank you.
Darren Lawson, next on deck, Ricky Hicks.
Hi, Darren Lawson, Percy Borough. I just wanted to cover some of the reasons why people are so interested in this weeding log and why it's a little bit different than past years. So before Policy 109 was passed in September of 2022, the weeding log was basically reserved for like normal weeding activities done by librarians. So, you know, books in poor condition, books that were no longer checked out, books that were obsolete, like old encyclopedias. But that policy changed. And now librarians are mandated to weed books based upon age appropriateness. Okay? Now, who defines what's age appropriate? The librarians? The trained librarians? No. It's defined in the policy. And who wrote the policy? Lobbyists from the PA Family Council.
Yes.
PA Family Council is a religious advocacy firm, okay? And one of their main things that they pride themselves on is pushing for religious liberty. But their definition of religious liberty is very, very strange. It includes several initiatives opposing the legalization and court decisions that defend the rights of gay people. PA Family took stances against same-sex marriage, hate crime laws, and the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. To be successful in their crusade, the ILC, or the PA Family Council, has been creative in their legal and public relations narrative. Its publicly stated objective is never discrimination, but it's always the outcome. PA Family even dedicates an entire section of their website to a very specific cause. I kid you not, it's called the Homosexuality Archives. It's disgusting. And this board let this group, these lobbyists from this group, write our library policy. Yes. And not only that, they invited them into a closed meeting that was not announced to the public and was kept secret. It was called a fact-finding meeting. This is ridiculous. And you know what? That's why we want to know which books are being weeded from the library. Because a lot of these books being weeded used to be on the banned book display at Penridge High School library. So I don't think this is the librarian's decision. So who's calling the shots here? Well, if you RTK some of these titles that have gone missing and email conversations with the board and the superintendent, you'll see that emails are coming from board members to the superintendent complaining about books.
Thank you, Mr. Lustig. Your time's up.
Ricky Hicks, and on deck is Christina Hicks.
Hi, I'm Ricky Hicks, Hilltown Township. I hope that I don't raise any white fragility when I bring this up. We need to call it what it is. This is a very white district. The reason why I point this out is the experience my kids are having in school. We have a scenario where we are trying to ban books and shut down certain conversations that need to be had. I did foster care for 6 years. Empathy is considered an advanced skill. It needs to be worked out and taught along their entire school career. I experienced multiple incidents of racism growing up. You can look at history and look at Ruby Bridges at her young age and what she dealt with. If we as kids can deal with certain comments coming our direction, kids of white color can talk about it. They can learn about it, they can learn why they shouldn't do it. I'm gonna give a couple examples. My son is autistic, my youngest. He's been called a retard for being different. My oldest son is in middle school. He's got kids walking up to him who want to know if they can have an N-word pass. Does anybody know what an N-word pass is?
Common in our school.
They want to know, white kids want to know if they can call my son nigger. It's a hard word, isn't it? I don't want to repeat anything anybody else has said. You need curriculum supervisors. You need a data support coach. It's very important. But when you think about your future decisions for the education of our students, you need to think about teaching them empathy. They need to have these tough conversations because in the white district, these kids are going to grow up, they're going to go to other areas with other people, and they're going to struggle to interact. I've experienced it. I'm watching my kids experience it. I'm 40 years old, and I still encounter white men that don't know how to interact with a black male. Thank you.
Christina Hicks, and on deck is Senior Act. Christina Hicks? Oh, sorry.
Good evening, Christina Hicks, Hilltown Township. I don't know how to follow everything that everybody has said, and I hope that you are listening and listening deeply to what is being said, because my best conversations have been with people that don't agree with me, and then we have sat down and we have listened. We've been curious about what other people have felt, thought, experienced. They have been the most formative conversations in my life. They have brought me through different places and different times because I was able to develop that empathy that my husband just talked about. The fact is that I don't like to come here and bring up personal situations because when I come and I speak, I want to speak to the whole community, because I care about this community because I live here. I interact with people in this community. My children have friends in this community. I have friends in this community. So I come and I speak as someone who speaks for the whole community, but we have experienced things in this community that are not okay, that have been hard, that we didn't experience in our former community because it was more diverse. But it's not about me. I'm asking you to listen to all of these wonderful people sitting in this room tonight who have spoken. I'm asking you to take a step back and have hard conversations and really think outside of your own perspective. And I thank you. And that's all I have to say because everyone has said so many wonderful things. Thank you.
Hi again so soon. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sad to hear about Dr. Bolden leaving. He will be missed, but I get it. We've all seen the abuse he's received in emails and here on this very stage by at least one board member. So with him gone and Jordan Adams behind the wheel, I want to ask, are we going to change the green and white and the Ram for Hillsdale blue and white? Go Chargers. So in all seriousness though, thank you for that step of tabling the supervisor vote. Let's remove it completely now, please. Also, thank you for meeting with the supervisors today. You said you learned a lot from them today in your meeting. I would suggest you continue to hold these types of focus group meetings though with the very student groups that you marginalize and learn about them.
Yes.
You may have a different and more empathetic point of view on some of your own policies after talking to these very groups. Mr. Cormack and Mr. Reese, please do the right thing and vote against this illegal bathroom policy tonight. Mr. Reese, to give you an analogy that I know you'd appreciate, last night you were lobbed a softball when you had a chance to speak, and you kept the bat on your shoulder for strike 3. Do the right thing, please. Vote against this illegal bathroom policy. I was also concerned about the statistics that were presented last night. It was very negligent to post fake and made-up statistics. If this was corporate America, you'd be accused of fraud, probably fined and maybe put in prison. So the fraudsters up there, you're not going to jail, you're not going to be fined, but you are morally corrupt. Be more careful with the things you say and the accuracy of the data you share. Also, one last thing. Thank you for the 7 of the 8 members that have given the courtesy of listening and to everyone that's spoken tonight. Unless, of course, you were writing out that very long check to Mr. Adams.
And moving on to the president's report.
Lee, we have all the sheets, and I don't have you.
Sheet number 6.
I don't have it. Do you want to speak in the second comment period?
Let him speak now.
Oh, please, be in order, please. Lee, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I signed up for the first on sheet number 6.
I don't have it, but come on up and speak.
I'm not in charge of the sheet.
Lee, come up and speak.
Moving kind of slow, sorry.
I feel your pain.
Welcome back, Mr. Miller. Missed a couple of good ones. I apologize. 2 weeks ago, I had major back surgery at the University of Pennsylvania. Lee Rush Percy. I had surgery on my back. We never know what's ahead of us, and I never imagined that was going to happen in such a short period. I got a couple of opinions and went down to the University of Pennsylvania, and when I talked to the neurosurgeon, I asked him how he ever got into this business of, being able to do what he does. And he said something interesting to me. He said, I've always enjoyed working with my hands. I said, oh, they don't use robots? He goes, no, I'm in there. I'm like just using screwdrivers and drills and I'm a very high-paid carpenter on human bodies. And I asked him about why he was in Philly. He was from Florida. And he said something interesting. He goes, I wanted to work with one of the world's best hospitals. And I applied here and I was accepted. And he said the reputation of Penn is world-renowned. And we're all blessed to live in this area, to be around such amazing health care. And it got me thinking a bit about the reputation of institutions, the reputation of our community, now in all of America. I have friends in many places that, you know, kind of follow what's going on here in different states. And unfortunately, Penridge has a reputation now of being, in a way, in ground zero of culture wars. I felt really sad when one of the students got up and said that she wasn't really proud to be in Penn Ridge. Having graduated here in 1972 and then deciding to stay and raise my family here, I've always been so proud of my community. My father was on the school board in 1966 during the time when the district decided to consolidate, when there was actually 40 school board members from 8 different municipalities. Rough years to decide what to do collectively. I was here when the teacher strike happened in 1988, and for 11 weeks our union was on strike, and they were berated and called them nasty names, but they stood up and things changed for the better. And we had a strike in 92. But in my 40 years of coming to meetings, I have never seen such solidarity as I have tonight, that people are agreeing that something needs to change. And I think when you do leave the board, one of the best questions you could ask yourself is, during your time here, did you help make this a better place, or did you add to its decline?
And on deck is Devin Benili.
I don't think the first person heard.
Prius? Prius Khan?
Yeah.
And Devin McNeely is on deck.
Oh, there's a lot to say, but given
Sir, the microphone.
Microphone and.
there's a lot to say.
There you go.
But given the 3 minutes, I'm going to focus on few ideas and few issues that are near and dear to my heart. My kids' education is on the line. My hard-earned money and my tax dollars are on the line. First, about my kids' education. I have 2 kids going into middle school and high school, and I'm concerned that there's no curriculum for 9th graders. So far, I never had to worry about this because I trusted Penn Ridge, I trusted the teachers, I trusted the curriculum supervisors and what they taught. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that there's no teachers' contract discussions happening or updates. I heard from the representative that talked about the contract, but no updates yet. What is going on? There is no school district, there is no board without these teachers. They deserve what they deserve and more. I am glad you considered the supervisor and the curriculum positions. Thank you. Appreciate that. They are local and they know the students, the community, and what's best. I'll now move on to Vermillion contract because that is where my tax dollars are going. My sincere request to terminate that contract ASAP. If not immediately, I read through, there are 30 days, and you can still do that. Let me tell you, I have been in advisory and strategic consulting for 2 decades. For 2 decades. The company that I work for has been around for more than a century, has more than 500,000 consultants around the world, and work for many private and public clients. It's not a small company, but despite the stellar profile, I get questions. And for those that voted yes, I hope you ask those questions to Mr. Adams. The first questions: what skills and competencies do employees, or should I say employees, singular, of Mr. Adams' company possess? And what subject matter expertise do they bring to the table that we're paying for? Second question: what deliverables does Mr. Adams' company is committing as a part of this contract?
Sir, that's your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on deck, Zayola O'Donnell.
Hi, I'm a Spanish teacher at South Middle School, and first of all, I want to compliment our 3 former South students that had the courage to stand up here and talk to you guys today about their careers. I want to talk about data. Teaching Spanish, data doesn't necessarily affect me. I'm not a tested subject. Don't fully enjoy looking at data, if I'm going to be honest, but it is important. And before this year, I didn't really see the value in all the data that we were doing. It was a large portion of our time, and how we kind of spent a lot of our faculty meetings and our building time during in-service. And now I see the bigger picture and how all of us do collaboratively work together in order to make that happen. And it takes a village, and I know that was said last night in the meeting. And we can kind of, I might not necessarily use math on a daily basis in my class, but I do math activities, whether it's looking at currency conversions and other stuff. And another thing that has helped our test scores is conferencing. So one of the things we started doing with CDTs is conferencing, and how we were able to accomplish that, it wasn't just our classroom teachers, our math teachers, our RELA teachers doing the conferencing, but Dr. Scheid coming in, helping with that, our supervisors coming in and helping with that, and our instructional coaches helping with that, and that would not be possible without everybody. Part of what makes a good leader is being involved in all aspects of a school, not just the fun ones that get publicized. Board members, I do ask you, when was the last time you were at school besides something for an event? This used to be a common practice when I first started in the district 7 years ago. How can you know the curriculum needs to be fixed when you aren't present in the buildings? Second, addressing Vermillion. Mr. Jordan Adams critiqued reading curriculum without even talking to teachers. For the last few years, we have had the opportunity to work collaboratively with 2 curriculum designers who have doctorates and are internationally recognized. While meeting with Drs. Benna Kalik and Heidi Hayes-Jacob was often intense due to them analyzing months of work and suggesting changes, it was at least productive because, again, it was collaborative and because they both have years of experience in education. When Dr. Bolton started in this district, he wanted us to know what our why was. What is your why?
And on deck is Bob Summers.
Hi, my name is Layla O'Donnell, and I live in Suttersville Borough, and I will be entering 9th grade. I want to speak on the choice of Vermillion as a consultant. The presentation last night was ridiculous. Not only
Please keep going. Thank you.
Sorry. Not only does Mr. Adams not understand everything we do in Pembridge, but he seems to have the same fascination of the books as some of our board members. Speaking of which, the reading last night was unbelievably inappropriate. I'm also upset at the rest of you for not putting a stop to the reading. I'm already nervous about going to high school now. I'm worried about, I don't even know what I will be taught now. What makes you think that Mr. Adams knows better than people who've been doing this for years? It just doesn't make sense. In addition to that, the company has very biased beliefs. Believe what you want, but sometimes you can't change something that's already been done. For instance, history. You can't change what's already done. So So if you continue to let that infant company to change the social studies curriculum to something that actively tries to make it seem like America is the powerhouse of the South, the students aren't going to be learning what actually happened. A good curriculum allows good teachers to teach you everything you need to know. For instance, my former 8th grade social studies teacher, Mrs. Grace, was wonderful. She was fun to be around, her smile was always contagious along with her laugh, and she always put us in check when needed. But most of all, she taught us what we needed to know. Because of her, I got a 40 out of 45 on my civics test, and in 7th grade, I had Miss Schaefer, and because of her, I got 100% on my states and capitals test. Do you see my point here? Our teachers are the most amazing part of Penn Ridge. Your decisions are hurting us. Please listen so we can grow better together.
Good evening, Penrith School Board. Bob Sellers, East Rock Hill. My name is Bob Sellers. I have recently been identified at the last primary election from one side as a rhino and another side as an extreme, crazy Christian extremist. So, for the record, I'm a common sense conservative and I am a Christian. I believe in God's love and that our children are God's greatest gift. I believe the ends don't justify the means. The desire should always be to try to find and build on consensus. On major issues, an evenly divided board should not be the norm. And if broad consensus is not possible, then make sure the process of decision-making is inclusive, transparent, and follows an established standard, procedure, and respects all the stakeholders. I believe in quality teachers and the impact they make on our children's lives. And personally, for me, the impact they made on my life. I have always believed in a Penn Ridge solution. And I believe in being Penn Ridge proud. The question was asked earlier, if I was on this board, how would I vote? As I have publicly said to this board and the individuals on it, I believe in a healthy board, and I haven't seen a healthy board. If I was on the board right now, I would not be voting for a Vermillion contract because the process was not followed, transparency was not followed, and it didn't bring in the full consensus of the board. If you can't find a solution, they have heard me, so they know what I'm saying. If you can't find a consensus, work harder for that consensus, okay? As it relates to social studies, 4 credits, I also believe they needed to work harder to find a solution. So I appreciate the opportunity to address and for some to introduce myself. And I know.
What agenda item is this?
Ma'am, be in order. Mr. Sellers, your time is
So,
up.
thank you very much.
All right, moving on to the President's report. A message to our graduates. As the time flies quickly through the month of June, celebrations of accomplishments, summer vacations, and time spent with those we love, we should all take a little time to make sure we focus on the positive people we have in our lives. You, our 2023 graduates, are turning the page to the next chapter in life. Looking forward through the windshield with the rear view mirror close at hand. Anxious to start your new beginnings, new lives, if you will. Turning the page, writing a new chapter. Whatever you choose to call a new journey, go forth and do good things. Always be kind, carry yourself with dignity, humility, and self-reflection. Go into your new adventures facing any new challenges and any hills you are about to climb. Make sure you have your head up and eyes open. Always stand proud, stay focused, and strive to do better, even when others don't see your vision. Enjoy the remainder of your summer vacation, for before long it will soon be over. So smile, stay positive, and stay focused. Your future will be filled with great things. You just have to keep on writing your next chapter. That is my report. Moving on to the consent calendar. I'm going to make a motion to approve the consent calendar items A through J.
It's actually A through K. because
Oh, K,
of the
I'm sorry. I did write it down here. Thank you.
Mr. Rice. I would like to ask if we could separate some items. I have a question about the for information purposes only, which would be the section that's 121 through 134. Items number 125 and 132. So that says for informational purposes only. Are we actually not voting on that then? Is that literally just for information, or is it
Run the
something?
consent calendar.
Right. The consent calendar has the personnel report. I'm looking at the superintendent's personnel report, item I.
Could you say those numbers again, please?
So I would like to vote separately on number 1, because I think the decision will make later will impact that. So I would like to vote on that separately. And then I also would like to know if we are voting on item 125 and item 132, I would like those separated as well.
I'm not sure where those numbers are.
I don't.
Oh, the numbers are on the, I'm sorry, the numbers are on the, how else, on the spreadsheet. I printed it out. On item I, the superintendent's personnel and EDR report.
Yes.
So if you open that up, you should be able to see numbers.
138 through 151 on the left-hand side, the far left-hand column.
Right. So, number 1, because it's with regard
Do you
to,
mean 138?
You're looking at the one under administrative content. Go to the one that's not under administrative content. Here.
1 second.
the personnel report is way down here on the bottom.
I see there's 6 pages of it. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Number 1 on this one is different than number 1 on the other one.
Dave, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mine does not have numbers on it. Does everybody else's have numbers?
There are 2 items listed, one under admin comment or content, and the other one is up above where all the other ones are listed under public content.
Which one are you looking at?
So it's the one, Ricky, it's the one, you see all the ones that have the meeting minutes updated, and I did ask about as a side note, I did ask about the meeting minutes that were updated, and it was for, being more descriptive with legal, with exec session. So while we're waiting, I would explain that.
For number 1, are you referring to the one that says employee number 1839?
Yeah.
So that was a requested switch.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with the other.
Correct, that's just a transfer.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at
Alright,
EDR.
well, then I don't
Okay,
need
good.
to, then I don't need to vote on that separately. But what about the ones that say for informational purposes only, particularly the instructional coach? So that would be number 132 is the instructional coach, and then there's also number 125, a movement from being an instructional coach to a social studies teacher.
Ms. Mossman, would you be able to
Address this, please.
Right.
Can you just add some clarity to what we're talking about here?
Absolutely.
So, number 1, I think.
Number 1
Ms. Cullen is taking care of this.
Yeah, number
it's
1's fine. Put
All right.
on the, Ms. Mossman, the microphone.
Okay, number 1 was a transfer.
Okay.
You asked about 130
So, yeah, with that, so you see how it breaks apart and then it says for information purposes only? I'm asking if we do actually vote to approve or not approve those items, because they're listed as for informational purposes only. What does that mean?
So they are for PIMS changes, which is for state reporting.
Okay, what's PIMS?
It's state reporting that goes up to the state regarding teacher positions for our district.
So we're not actually getting to vote on these particular things, you're just telling us that they happen?
They're just transfers in the district.
Okay.
Is there anything else on that item?
No.
So, Ms. Cullen, with that, can we vote on the consent calendar from A to K?
Okay. I mean, I think that it's supposed to be, the personnel report is supposed to be marked I, right? So if we could still pull out I, please.
All right, so the consent calendar would be A through H and J and K. Just everyone, is that acceptable to everyone?
I will make that motion, A through H,
J and K.
J and K. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Comments? Comments or questions?
Can we respond to the community member about all of the minutes that are listed?
Well, as
I
as
think
Ms.
Mrs.
Cullen
Cullen just did.
already said, it's for purposes of clarifying certain executive sessions and amending the minutes to make that clarification. I think we've said that.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a motion on the second floor, and it's a consent calendar, so there's usually not comment. Unless there's comment, you can.
I would just make a comment that it's with regret that I accept K of the consent calendar, which is Dr. Bolton's resignation.
Understood. Thank you.
Same.
All those in favor?
Same.
I.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I make a motion for item number I. Could I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Well, comments and questions. I'm going to, I'm not happy that we have an item on here, these items that are for informational purposes only. If they meet the standard of reporting, that's fine, but I think we should have had a conversation about the data instructor position before it was just eliminated. So I'll be voting no.
So is, that position has not been eliminated though, right?
It was, without our consent, it was put in there through board leadership. So as far as I know, it was not renewed, so they put it back. But
So doesn't that require a vote though of us, like at a board meeting?
I don't think so.
Apparently not.
When did that happen?
Again,
Tara, would you be able to address that?
That's the date.
The data coordinator position was a 3-year position that was presented during a committee meeting prior to my arrival in the district. And we were informed that that was going to be moved back to a teacher position, and she was in that role for 2 years.
And I believe we had conversations at committee meetings, and this isn't your fault, but we did have conversations at committee meetings and with Dr. Bolton to say that we would have a discussion on the progress, the results that we saw from that position, and make a decision whether we would continue with it. So I was looking forward to that conversation. I think a lot of board members were. And so to have that decision made behind our backs and with no input was disappointing. So again, I'll just have to, I can't give consent to that part of the consent calendar, even though it's for informational purposes only.
Mr. Miller, is it appropriate for that to have happened that way, or what's the, from a legal standpoint?
It can be listed on the personnel agenda that way, and board members can either vote for or against the personnel report as stated.
I would ask, we received some information concerning all the tasks that were done with regard to the data coach, and maybe if that could be made part of the record, I would request that that would be. I can get that to Ms. Chenoweth. There was accomplishments for the data coach. If it's a position that's going to be voted on, there's a one-page with points 1 through 26 on there, and I just requested that be made part of the minutes.
Certainly. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay.
No.
Nay.
Ms. Chenoweth, can we take a roll call, please?
Mrs. Bass Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Batisky?
No.
Mrs. Blomgren?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapin?
Yes.
Mr. Cormack?
No.
Mrs. Cullen?
No.
Mr. Russell?
No.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Wurs?
No.
The superintendent's, or the personnel report fails. If someone wishes... If everyone would be in order, we have a long agenda.
Listen, I'm confused because we're voting against the personnel report, which doesn't have this on there as a voting item. If they want that as a voting item, then that can be added at a different time, but we're voting against a personnel report that isn't.
It's for
that
information
isn't-
only.
Right,
you're
that's what I'm saying. It seems like they're trying, it seems like people are trying to solve a problem by voting against something that's not the solution.
My suggestion for the board is that the issue with regard to the information coach, which is informational only, be removed from the report, and the report be voted on up or down without that item,
Okay.
since it's informational only.
It's a great idea.
Would someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion, or I'll second it then. Thank you.
Fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So then we'll be scheduling a conversation about the data instructor coach at the curriculum or personnel, whichever meeting that it's supposed to be in. We'll expect that maybe next month because school's gonna be starting soon.
I second that.
On to the activities.
Moving on to the activities report. Ms. Jenkins.
Yes, okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first item is approval of an overnight trip to PASC State Leadership Convention. So I'd like to make a motion to approve that trip. It's on September 21st, 2023.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, second, we have approval of a student exchange program. It's an international cultural exchange through AFS Network, which I believe we did work with before COVID and since it stopped and are resuming that. So I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Okay, and lastly, I'd like to make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, not lastly, a motion to approve Penrose School District Health and Safety Plan. There have been no changes to it. It's just our typical approval every 6 months.
I'll second that. Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, approval of PSBA delegates to be named at the meeting.
Second.
Well,
Well,
let's
we
get
can't-
it,
we have to-
let's get
we can't
it.
approve
Motion.
someone until
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Sorry.
Did we discuss that at all before we got here?
But we can't make a motion to approve it until we have someone. Does someone want, do we know who wants to be a PSBA delegate? Are there people here who want to go?
I thought we would have discussed it ahead of time. I didn't know that.
So it's usually in October. I didn't look this year to see when it is specifically. I think they were going to move it. I think you might need to know what the dates are because it can be inconvenient for people that work full-time. So
I kind of thought, was it, I think it,
they
I think
changed
most
it.
of it's Zoom now.
No, last year was back in person and it was awkward. It was like started on a Sunday night and then it was Halloween night, Sunday night, Monday
was
night,
November. You know what?
Tuesday, so let me just quickly look and see when it is.
I was
It's
thinking,
October.
I was thinking the first so many can come in person, and then after that, because it was a smaller facility, then it went to Zoom, but I'm not sure.
This year's event is held October
It's
16th
December
and 17th
6th. Go on.
October 16th and 17th?
at Kalahari Resort.
So, I guess it's,
So the board needs to find 2 delegates for that.
do we wanna just table this and?
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
And just let
Yeah,
Dave know if they have interest in going?
Yes.
We'll just
That's
table
fine.
it.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay, the motion
Second.
does not need a second, the motion to table, and there's no discussion, it's just a vote. All those in favor of tabling is all we need.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to curriculum, Ms. Blomberg.
Okay, curriculum meeting was held on June 20th, 2023. There's one thing on the agenda for tonight to approve, and it's the motion to approve the Basic Fire Academy certification course.
A second it. Motion is made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next curriculum committee meeting will be meeting in August.
Next committee meeting is facilities, Mr. Cormack.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Let's start off with a motion to approve a contract with SiteLogix Consulting Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $49,100 to provide civil engineering design for the 2024 site work Phase 3 projects.
Second it. Motion is made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve a contract with SiteLogix Construction Management in the amount of $310,700 to provide pre-construction, bidding, construction management for the 2024 site work Phase 3 projects.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to authorize bidding for the 2024 Phase 3 site work projects to include paving site work, wayfinding signage at the high school and middle school campuses.
I'll second that. Motion is made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve change order number 0103 for Nice Construction Services, Inc. to utilize contract allowances for sidewalk at the high school nurse's office door and for the existing swale at the sidewalk to the high school parking lot from Bloomington Road. The change order is amount 0. Allowances utilized total $13,171.74.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order 0203 for Nice Construction Services, Inc. to create an owner allowance in the amount of $40,000 to be used towards revisions associated with the sewer main tied-in location at the new operations garage.
Second. Oops, sorry.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve change order number 0303 for Hollenbach Construction, Inc. for the removal of fire pump and equipment room at the operations garage and for excavation of footers at the salt shed totaling $7,667.40.
I'll second that. Motion is made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve change order number 0402 to Myco Mechanical, Inc. for removal of the fire pump and equipment from the room at the operations garage in the credited amount of $410.90.
I'll second that. Comments or questions? Questions been made and seconded? Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order number 0602 for Oliver Fire Protection and Security for the removal of the fire pump equipment room at the operations garage in an accredited amount of $14,875.65.
I'll second that. Motion made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve change order number 0703 for BSI Electrical for the removal of the pump and equipment room, existing panel replacement in the operations garage, additional underground raceways to site lighting poles for surveillance camera wiring in the amount of $24,721.30.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve GIZA Amendment Number 8 for the Bedminster Elementary School and Grass Elementary School sand mount septic system in the amount of $125,970.
I'll second that. Motion has been made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve GIZA Amendment Number 9 for Grass Elementary School kitchen renovation, South Middle School building envelope repairs, Guth Elementary School underground fuel tank in the amount of $3,447,797.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion to approve resolution regarding Red Cedar property project.
Second that. Motion has been made and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I'm going to go to a little comment here before we start. We have many people that have requested information about our book removal system. I've had a couple conversations with our business manager, Dr. Labarchek, and we are looking at books that have been, quote unquote, poor and outdated. Some of the books that are coming off the list have been poor and outdated. Mark Twain for one, it gets replaced in the fall. It's not completely eliminated from the library system, but it will be replaced to make up for the loss of that book. So at this point, motion to approve obsolete items from A to G listed below.
I'll second it.
Can we pull library books out? Because we really haven't answered. Last time we promised that we would get a list of every library book and why it was removed. I realize we can't do that quickly, but I don't think we should approve this and sweep it under the rug. So I would like to know, because there's a lot more books in there than there used to be, and I just want to know why. And I think the public, we said we made a commitment to that, so I'd like to remove D.
D specifically?
Is that the high school one?
The high school.
That's the high school is the one we're looking at, right?
And you want to eliminate the library book surplus in F? Do you want to limit the library books just in D? And what about in North Middle School?
Not the middle school. I was thinking of the high school.
Just the high
I
school.
thought we.
Right,
That
okay,
was my
no,
understanding.
no problem.
So the question is, Mr. Cormack, there's a motion and a second. Will the maker of the motion and the maker of the second exclude D from A through G?
That'd be Mr. Cormack and Mr. Waters.
So you agreed to
Yes,
Yeah.
we definitely agree, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
Motion and second. I
So
will
you would
amend it.
do A through C and E through G.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
That's what you're voting on?
Yes. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve obsolete items, item number D.
That's been pulled, and we're just gonna, I guess, will go in another agenda.
I thought we were just voting on it separately.
That's what I
We
thought.
can either vote on it or table it
Table
and
it.
get it and bring it back when we have the information for the public.
I
And
think
I'm
the
fine
whole
with
list,
it.
the whole list is
The
here.
list is right there.
Yeah, it doesn't
They're
say
talking
why
about
it
the
was.
explanation.
I mean, I'm not gonna make them go through that whole list and.
Well, the problem was the last committee meeting, we said that we would do that. So
Yes.
I never said that.
I would just vote that we table it then. I make a motion to table it. Try to
The
get that
motion to
information.
table is on the floor, again, doesn't need a second, you need a majority vote to table.
Okay.
There's no discussion, you just take the vote.
Take a vote.
All those in favor?
To table, right?
To table.
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, a motion to accept and award a bid RF, ooh, I'm sorry about that. A motion to accept and award bid RFP results A through B listed below. That's filters and maintenance transportation for, and also uniforms.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next facilities meeting is August 14th, 2023.
All right, moving on to finance. Approval of the Upper Bucks County Technical School. I get a motion to approve the Upper Bucks County Technical School 23-24 budget, which was revised to a return total of $800,704 of fund balance in excess of 8% to the sending districts, of which 41.28%, $330,530.61 will return to the Penrose School District.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Can I have some discussion on that?
Comments or questions?
Yeah, the one, and this is just on, I'm supportive of the tech school, but Mr. Wertz and myself have both sent emails trying to get further information. And since we're charged with the responsibility of approving the budget, I would have thought that we would have gotten a response to our questions, and we did not. So not getting a response, I'm not in favor of voting for it. It doesn't mean that I'm not in favor of the tech school, but there were 3 issues that were raised by our review within our own district, and one of those was addressed by bringing this back. The other 2 were not, and that relates to not having a balanced budget, and the second one relates to why the increase of 22.9% increase as opposed to what we originally budgeted at 4.1% increase. So I appreciate the fact that they're returning the money, the $800,000, which was one of the 3 issues, but the 2 other issues still remain open, and that was never addressed. So I can't vote in favor of this budget.
So the questions were answered. You may not follow the answers, but they were given. The reason it's unbalanced is because you asked to get the 8% back. So if you want the 8% back based on the Articles of Agreement, it requires that 8% be held in fund balance and that it be pooled on a monthly basis to balance the budget to offset the payments of the sending districts. So it doesn't matter whether you cut money from here or there. We did cut the $800,000 and didn't put it in capital, but because of the way the Articles of Agreement is worded, you have to put it in fund balance, and you have to pool it. And then, by definition, when you're pooling it every month, that creates an unbalanced budget and a structural deficit. But that's what you asked for. So you literally voted against a balanced budget, asked for them to unbalance it, and now you're wondering why it's unbalanced. That's why it's unbalanced.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. You're entitled to your opinion and perspective on it, but we specifically asked for the budgets to be calculated off of revenues, not off of fund balance. And the concern I have is that there's talk of a kitchen renovation, and we have no idea whether the budget that's been proposed to us is padded in such a way to create an excess fund to renovate a kitchen, which should come through a different process. So the fact that we're presented with a budget based upon a budget that was over budget by $800,000 that we're getting returned to us based upon an audit, that just gives me pause to say, how do I know that the budget that's being presented to us now is based upon actuals as opposed to something put in there for an extra project that was not presented to us in the budget? So you're entitled to vote for it. I'm entitled to vote against it. I just have some concerns with it.
It was budgeted that way, though. I mean, you can ask Sean Dahlberg, but he'll tell you the same thing that I'm telling
No,
you.
Sean told me
which is that it'd
3
be an
points.
unbalanced
He sent us all an email we received from the administration. There were 3 issues. The budget started to be calculated off of revenues. That was the first one. The second one was, why is there an increase for Penridge of 22.95%? Even though the budget overall is flat, why is the Penridge increased? And then the third was, what about the $1.3 million, I'm sorry, the $1,048,916 in overage funds, what was going to be done with that? And that it was, the budget failed, it passed here the first time, it failed at Palisades, failed at Quakertown, they reworked it so that we would return the money that was in the audit, that may keep it, they're not required to keep it, they may keep it. And so they fixed the 1 point, but they didn't fix the other 2 points. So again, we can disagree on this, I'm just not gonna be voting for it.
I'm trying to disagree with you. You're saying that your questions weren't answered, so I'm answering your questions.
No, did anybody from the tech school answer my question?
It is based on.
But did anybody from the tech school answer my question?
I never got an answer.
Again, the reason it's unbalanced is because you want that money back, which I've explained to you.
That's not accurate,
The budget
though,
went
Megan.
down.
Mr. President?
It is though, the budget, and the budget decreased by 1%. The reason our budget went up 20% is because we've been pooling from fund balance at the tech school to budget. No, I'm gonna answer the question for the public because the information we're sharing, the public should know.
Please be in order.
20%,
Please be in order.
the reason Penridge budget went up 20% is because we've been pooling from fund balance to balance the budget every single year. 3 years ago, when we changed the Articles of Agreement, we said we were going to stop doing that. Quakertown couldn't afford to do it 3 years ago. We left a 3-year gap for this year that it was going to be a balanced budget. We were not going to pool from fund balance the 20% to balance the budget. We had to pay our full bill. So the budget went down 1%. The only reason it went up 20% is because we have to pay the full bill instead of pooling from fund balance. As far as the $1.3 million, the Articles of Agreement requires us to bring the fund balance up to 8%, which is what we did, and then the balance of that is the $800,000, which you wanted to send back. So again, we had to follow the Articles of Agreement. That's what the Articles of Agreement requires.
It says you may keep up to 8%. You're not required to keep it.
No,
It
that's
says
not
may.
what it says. There's another line in there that specifically says that before you can offset the budget with it for the next budget year, you have to bring the balance of fund balance up to 8% first, which is why you can only move the $800,000 back. It's explicitly written in the Articles of Agreement.
Mr. President, may I suggest, since there's clearly a division on the board, that you consider a roll call vote?
Ms. Chenoweth.
Before roll call, I just want to.
Yeah,
Can
but
I
we
give?
haven't finished comments.
Sorry, I'll just say this. I'm not in support of this budget because I was in support of the last budget, which was balanced. I also want to state that I am for the kitchen renovation. It's a similar GISA amendment that we just all voted 9-0 on for Guth Elementary School. And at the tech meeting, they were just discussing that this renovation could open up more programs. You know, currently we do have waiting lists over at tech, and this would give the students more opportunities there at the tech to be able to do that this fall. So that's why I will not be in support of this budget.
The other I would like to add, since the problem I have with the tech school budget is we have a board of there that can spend money or do projects, and then we have to foot our portion of the bill. And the lack of communication lately about this kitchen stuff, and this could be a big bill that we have to be aware of because we as a school have to pay for it. And we don't really find out enough about this stuff until it becomes on the budget, and then we're kind of forced to vote on it with very little information. I asked for some information from the tech school and never got a reply. So I'm going to vote for it, but I certainly don't like the way the interaction has been going.
I also just wanted to add that the reason our budget, our surplus was I think $5.7 million from last year. That's what you do. You over budget to protect yourself. We also had numerous open positions that because of COVID we had a hard time filling at the technical school. We also got grant money from ESSERS, so that offsets the budget as well. So that's the reason you end up with a surplus at the end of the year. That's no fault of the sending districts. And the other issue I just want to, again with Jordan, I agree. I voted for the balanced budget, which is what I would have preferred. I will still vote for this budget, but you know, because I do think they need a budget. However, this has already been approved, so by the other two sending districts, so our vote is obsolete. My concern is we are actually passing a budget at Penridge tonight that allocates the $330,000 to the tech school, but out of spite, we're not sending it to the tech school because we want to hold on to it. So we're budgeting it for them, but then we're holding it because we don't want them to have the money. And, I just think the games that are being played to not support the tech school aren't right.
For clarification, the comment, I do have a comment, I was waiting. The money's not being held on to out of spite. This is, and Mr. Dahlberg, I had asked a question about if we changed, when the tech school budget changed, it changed between, 1 month and the next. I asked Mr. Dahlberg, if the budget changes, does that mean that it delays our, process? What Mr. Dahlberg explained to me was that you don't, you can have it there, it just makes it simpler for us, that we don't have to make an adjustment to our budget. So there's no spite involved. And we all do support the tech school. I've been a proponent of the tech school for all of my years on the board. I like to support their programs. Their strawberry sale's my favorite. And what I want to do is have a tech school that has a budget and a board that does things responsibly, communicates well, answers questions. I won't repeat all of Jonathan's points, but I'll just say that I agree with those that he made.
Ms. Chenoweth, could we call the roll, please?
Mrs. Spence Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Petitsky?
No.
Mrs. Blomgren?
No.
Mrs. Chaikin?
She might be muted.
Mr. Cormack?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullen?
No.
Mr. Russell?
No.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Wurst?
Yes.
She's on Zoom, but I don't know if we can hear her.
Yeah, yes.
She was just
Yes.
muted,
Oh,
so.
Okay, so.
She's
I
a
have-
yes.
I have 5-4, that's what I have.
5-4, motion carries.
But you should stay there, because we're gonna approve a general fund budget.
Yes, please,
So,
Ms.
we
Chenoweth.
still need you.
Again, next is motion to approve the final general fund balance budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024 with revenues and expenditures totaling $154,662,447 and set the real estate millage tax rate at 135.2555. Comments, questions?
Give me a second. I'll second.
Oh, second. All those in, comments, questions? All those in favor?
Wait, roll call.
Roll call.
It's a roll call.
Mrs. Spence Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Petitsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Blomgren?
Yes.
Mrs. Chaikin?
Yes.
Mr. Cormack?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
And Mr. Wurst?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll do D by roll call as well.
Please. There's a motion, I'm going to make a motion to approve the final.
Levying of taxes.
Come on. There it is. Motion to approve the.
When I click on it, it won't go.
Okay. Motion to approve the final, it's still not the levy tax. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but like when you click on it on the computer,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
motion to approve the final general budget fund for fiscal year 2023 to 2024 with revenues and expenditures totaling $154,662,447 and set the real estate millage tax rate. That's what I just read. Where's the levy taxes?
Is it on the corrected version? Hold on.
It is right.
They're the same one.
It's the
It's
same
actually
one.
very technical.
That's what I have. That's what I, right there.
Put it in wrong.
Well, I'm not sure. Doesn't mean.
What is it?
The levying of taxes, but the real estate millage tax, I mean, did that, so does the, should the millage should have been separate from
That's right.
another one?
Yeah, that was the one I just read.
Yeah, but they're doubled.
They're
See how they're the same?
identical.
Oh, yeah, two of the same.
Well, okay, hold on a second. If you've already voted on the budget and you've approved the real estate millage tax, then
We're
Mr.
good.
Dahlberg, I think you've done everything you need to do. Mr. Dahlberg, do you agree?
I don't think it.
It looks like the language was just copied down.
Yeah.
The levying of taxes, which include 1% of earned income tax, 0.5% of real estate transfer tax, and $5 local service tax are the same taxes each year.
Mr.
that on
Dahlberg,
there?
why don't you come up to the microphone if you would, please?
Thank you.
It's okay, it's just a typographical error. These things happen. Let's get this right. Mr. Dahlberg, we're gonna do this a little bit on the fly. The motion would be to approve the real estate millage tax at 135.2555, and then would you please add in the other taxes that you pointed out?
Yeah, levying of taxes, which include 1% earned income tax, 0.5% real estate transfer tax, and $5 local services tax.
Mr. President, would you make that motion?
I will make that motion. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Ms. Chenoweth? The roll call. The roll call.
Mrs. Spanos Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Patisky?
Yes.
Mrs. Blomgren?
Yes.
Mrs. Chaikin?
Yes.
Mr. Cormack?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Wers?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Ms.
Chenoweth, and thank you, Mr. Dahlberg. We can do E by voice vote after appropriate motion.
All right. Make a motion to approve the 2023 homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution. Could I get a
Second.
Ron seconded.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the installment dates of August 31st, October 31st, and December 15th, 2023. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Got a motion to approve the commitment of funds for A through C through for the year ending 2022, 2023. And those are the transfers of the PSERS account and, yeah, A through C. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions?
Yes, I'm not in favor of taking money out of the PSERS fund to bring up the unassigned fund balance, because you can't take it back out. Just to bring it to 8%, which is the maximum you're even allowed to hold in an unassigned general fund budget, in addition to all the money that we have assigned, we're then hoarding that money away, and we have no access to it without creating a structural deficit to pull it back out, because you'd be pulling it back out of fund balance. So I'm not in favor of taking money that we can utilize, that we've talked about utilizing for capital in the PSERS committed fund, and moving it to the unassigned fund balance. I would prefer that we move it into capital instead. And on that note, I would even be in favor of moving the rest of it into capital, but I'm not in favor of moving that amount to the unassigned fund balance.
Did you say once it goes into the unassigned fund balance, we can't pull it out? Is that-
If you pull that money out to balance the budget, then you're creating a structural deficit.
But it's our, we're internally restricting, it's not a restricted account.
Well,
So
right,
we're
but are we
internally-
ever gonna recommend having an unbalanced budget and pulling that money
But
back out?
by
I think-
voting for this, you're not making anything irrevocable.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that we need to have the absolute maximum amount of money of 8% in unassigned, instead of moving it into committed funds like capital, because we have a lot of money that in all of these different accounts, even above and beyond the 8%, so that we can hold more than 8%. I think that we already have more than we need, and we shouldn't be moving money in that PSERS committed fund account that we talked about using for capital, that we talked about the South Middle School project, the air conditioning projects. We're pulling almost $400,000 out of that account, putting it in the unassigned fund balance, and then we won't be able to use it for that anymore. I'd rather put it in capital.
But you can still move it from the unassigned fund balance to the capital projects account, right?
That's how I'm not supporting putting it in there and creating
All
a
right.
balanced budget in the future.
Let's go.
Let's vote.
To use it.
All right, so we get a motion and a second. Great. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Sounds like, Ricky?
Ricky.
Aye.
8-1. Motion carries. Motion to approve the renewal of quotes A through G presented by Willis Towers Watson.
Second.
Got
Sorry.
a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval. Motion to approve the stop loss marketing renewal with RMTS Nationwide for response option 1 that includes $225,000 deductible and a premium of $810,000 and $810,000 $513. $803,513. Sorry about that.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions?
Yes, I have some comments. The rates on the stop loss insurance have gone up significantly over the last couple of years to this year. We're self-insured for everything else. We have a healthy account. It's costing us a lot more money to pay for stop loss insurance rather than to fund it for ourselves. The IU did the same analysis and came to that same conclusion, which is why they are self-funding their stop loss, because it's a significant savings. For us, it's a significant savings as well, because if you look at it, only one of our claims is even going above the rate where they're using it, where they're covering it, and they'd still only cover 50% of it. So we're paying, you know, $225,000. They're paying $225,000. All the rest stay under that. So in addition, we're paying another over $800,000 to have coverage that we're only using yearly about $200,000 of, and in addition, we're paying $14 million of in the amounts that aren't even exceeding that, because we have to cover the deductible of up to $225,000. So from a financial perspective, it doesn't make sense for us to do that when we can self-fund it the way that we self-fund all of our insurance at a better cost to us, better cost to our employees. This is costing all of our staff more money to fund it this way than if we funded it ourselves.
The information that we received indicates that it's risky to switch out of that without doing a feasibility study on what the impact would be. The decision regarding the termination of a stop loss in a limited self-funded plan must be based upon a feasibility study that is actuarially sound to be considered a sound decision. So it might be a suggestion, but unless you do the feasibility study, I don't think it's something that we should entertain at this point.
Well, the feasibility study would be all of the data that's in this document that shows exactly what is happening year after year.
No, the feasibility study
That's what it
evaluates
does.
financing options available for self-funding of medical and prescription drugs. It helps the employer group determine the best
Not the
options for
stop
them.
loss.
It provides the group with an actuarially sound project of future costs, optimum stop loss levels, and stop loss carrier prices. So that's what the feasibility study does.
When you're funding it yourself, you set that yourself because you're self-funding. That's different than when
You
you're
have
going
to
out and
determine
getting
what the
numbers from
risk
other
is.
people.
If you're self-funding
Right,
it, you're taking the
you
risk, so you
determine-
need a feasibility study to determine
So
what
you
that risk is.
determine the risk by looking at your history over the last 5 years, which is in the document, and shows you what that risk is. Again, it's just,
No.
it's not
No, I want a feasibility study by
financially
an
the best way to go.
But just again, Megan, just so the record's
Vote the
clear,
way you want.
the entire process begins with a historical analysis of the employer's group, medical and prescription drug claims trends using actuarial principles, and regression analysis. From this data, an actuarial cost estimate is developed using appropriate specific and aggregate stop loss levels. So it involves much more than what you're just saying by looking at the data.
If you can't figure out the data, then that's you, but I can
right.
clearly see the data.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Did we get Ricky's vote?
Ricky?
Aye.
8-1, motion carries. Approval of contracts. Motion to approve contracts A through U listed below. I'm not going to read them, they are lengthy.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept and award bid results A through G below.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval, motion to approve student activity accounts A through Y.
Second.
Mr. Rice, I thought I asked for one of the things in J to be pulled out, because I have a separate form, but I'm not, was it pulled out in J? It was J,
Which letter in J?
Do you know what letter?
Yeah,
Actually was at.
Oh, Homestead Christian.
yeah, it was T.
T.
So,
You want to,
You want to be,
Yes.
it's a conflict issue
Yeah,
or an
conflict
abstention?
issue, yeah.
We can just mark you as abstained for that matter as a matter of record.
all right, that's fine. All right.
I think I heard Ms. Cullen provide a second on
Yes.
the activity accounts.
yes, those are some motion, a second. All those in favor, I believe there was
A through Y.
A through what?
A through Y. So, all those in favor?
I'm sorry. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. That's John. You're abstaining?
On.
No.
Oh, sorry. I went to
He
T.
previously was abstaining. We'll have that marked on the record.
Yep. That's correct. Motion to accept. Motion to accept and award bid results A through G below.
Oh, we
We did that.
skipped the bank
We did that, we did the
depositories?
activity counts, you're now at
M.
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 Approval of the deposit right there. I thought A through F.
All right. Motion to approve bank depositories for approval for the 2023-2024 fiscal year items A through F.
Second.
And motion and second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the following cooperative purchasing participation for the 2023-2024 fiscal year items A through J listed below. Give me a second.
Second. Sorry.
Motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve and review end of the year payments of all bills received and payable through June 30th, 2023 as necessary. Bills list will be forwarded to all board members prior to the release of the checks. Any checks in question will be resolved before they are released, but for payment. Got a motion? Could I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve attorney-client contingent fee agreement regarding social media litigation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
8-1. Motion to approve non-contracted employee salaries. Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve engagement letter with,
Nope, you're done.
nope.
Not on there.
That was
Next finance.
Yep. Next finance committee, that.
14th.
It's gonna be August 14th, 2023. Moving on to personnel, Ms. Chapin.
So I am traveling. Can somebody, I can chime in, but Megan or Jordan or Dave, one of you guys
I'll do it.
kind of carry it and I'll just chime in when I have to.
I'll make a motion to approve the Director of Nutritional Services, William Laura, effective July 1st, 2023, at a salary of $90,209.
I'll second it.
Motion, comments or questions? Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry.
Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to table items C and D, C being the approval of abolishment of curriculum supervisors, and D being the approval of the Dagler Elementary School principal. Motion to table.
As indicated, that is a motion which requires no second and just goes to vote without discussion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
7-2.
Yeah.
I think you should have voted on it.
Well, the motion to table
You
was.
should have voted on it now and voted it down.
Thank you, Mr. Word. The motion was passed and the item was tabled, and you're on to section E.
The next Personnel Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 1st. And I'll go right into policy. The Policy Committee meeting was held last night. As far as the approval of policies for first read, the only one would have been the resource materials. We had asked for language, but I assume since there wasn't that much time that we don't have language. So I'll also make a motion to table this until we get the language in, and we'll just bring this back to committee.
Motion has been tabled. You have to vote it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion has been tabled.
Okay, next, are there any under second read that people, or final read that anyone would like voted on separately?
I would like each of them voted on separately.
Yes, me too.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve item A, the dual and concurrent enrollment.
Second that.
I just continue to have some concerns about the removal of the oversight of the administration in there, so I'm not going to be supportive of this.
Motion is,
Okay. Well, I guess we can just vote. It's-
motion has been made. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
6-3. Ms. Chaikin?
Aye.
6-3. Motion carries.
Okay, next I'll make a motion to approve policy 235.1 surveys.
Second that. Motion has been made and seconded. Comments or questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people spoke out about this, and it's horribly written, it's vague, we're not answering their questions. It's handcuffing our teachers more and more. They need to be left to not worry about all these things whenever they do a survey, so. I know it doesn't matter, but I'm gonna vote no.
Any other comments?
Just that it's poorly written, I mean, and I don't know, you know, I would prefer to have it, there's a lot of confusion and things that aren't very clear, so.
I agree. Mrs. Batisky, you had brought the second policy forward and asked us to merge it, and we made every change you had asked for, so I'm confused,
I
actually.
still think it's not clearly written. I don't know what else to tell you, it's just, it doesn't read cleanly to me.
In committee, we made all the changes that you had asked for. I guess I'm just surprised because I thought that that's what you wanted. Okay.
I would just hope we would listen to the public a little more, and there's a lot of concern over this, and it just shouldn't be passed.
All right, so we get a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Ms. Chaikin?
Aye.
6-3. Motion carries.
Last, I'll make a motion to approve item C, use of restroom and locker room facilities. Policy 720.
Second that.
The only, for me, I'm in favor of the change. I'm against fast tracking, and I know, I've done this before, and it's been misinterpreted, but I just think if we have a policy that requires 2 reads, I would be consistent in having the policy go through 2 reads, but that's the only reason that I'm voting against this.
Okay, the consensus last night was for, because it was not a substantive change, to just vote again to make the non-substantive change, but.
Well, I
I
think
don't
if it
think
was.
there was consensus, but go on.
But I think if it was a change after a first read, we were changing it after the first read, maybe you could make that argument. But this was brought up after we had previously adopted the policy back in May. So I don't think you can just push it through. But again, if this is me personally, I think if you have a process, you need to follow the process whether you agree with the end result or not. It's just part of the means for me.
I think this was also to help the teachers out too, though. I think was the primary reason, so.
Can Mr. Miller weigh in
I'm
on
against the
whether-
policy because it's illegal, but I'm still gonna vote against it, but I would pass it. If we're gonna pass it, we should pass it tonight just so that we don't inconvenience the teachers anymore. If we drag this out for a while, then it's just a minor change to help them.
I see that point, but school's not in session right now, so
No, it's-
I guess,
We can wait till
yeah.
From my perspective, if the board understands that if they vote yes, they're concurring that it's a minor change to language, to a policy that's previously been debated, then they can vote in favor of that if they wish. My recommendation is that if you have it, take a motion and a second, take the vote, and if you want to send it back, you can vote no, as Mr. Russell has pointed out.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
6-3. Motion carries.
Okay,
Moving on.
that's it for that. I'll move right into IU. The IU met on May 15th and June 20th. I just had a couple of highlights to share. One is there were policies developed for recording and live streaming our meetings. We had asked we had asked in a 2 meetings ago to have the meetings recorded, and very quickly and efficiently the IU set up technology to do that. And in addition, it allowed board members to be able to zoom in, to be up on the screen, to be seen, to everybody to be able to hear each other. It also helped if we have anyone with a hearing impairment. It's set up so that when everybody speaks, the words actually show up on the screen so that anyone can participate in the meetings. I actually had a conversation with a community member who has that need, and she was upset that she can't come to our meetings and participate in our meetings because she can't hear them. And so I thought that was really upsetting to hear that someone who wants to be able to participate is unable to. So I did reach out to our tech department and the IU's tech department, as well as our tech department for the technical school, to have them all coordinate so the IU can help us set up our meetings so that people can participate who have a hearing impairment as well, and so that we can do the same thing at the tech school. I think it's really great that the IU is leading the way on this, meeting the needs of everyone in the community. I think it's a great thing that they do, and the fact that they can help support some of our districts to set that up so that people can participate, I think is great. And that community member is really excited for us to be able to set that up so that she can come and participate. So I'm really excited about that. Just another topic, this is the third year that the IU is utilizing consultative supports from the Pennsylvania Tech Assistance and Technology Assistance and Training Networks for an autism initiative. And the IU provides services of a small educational team with significant training in the educational needs and interventions for students with autism. They talked about how much of a difference this particular program had made, and it sounded pretty impactful, and I'm hopeful that we can look into. I don't know if that's something that we're utilizing here, but it was definitely something that was that they're seeing a lot of success with. There's a couple of things that they talked about in this program with effective classroom organization and environment, and how important it is to have a well-organized classroom. The schedule is critical, and it even identifies where the staff and students should be to help them be more effective. And it also has individual student wall cues to help with saving time and being able to meet the kids' needs. Another thing that they talked about is the learning to learn skills, which addresses areas related to the core social deficits of autism, such as approaching people and establishing people of value to students. And that's important for them to be able to develop that, to be able to learn. So I thought that was a really impactful report. That's my report. The next IU board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 18th.
All right, moving on to Berks County Technical School, Mr. Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. First of all, I'm going to keep this short. Guaranteed Energy Services Agreement. We have signed an agreement with SiteLogix for automatic temperature controlled upgrades and culinary classroom improvements at the Tech Center. So we're looking to expand the culinary program into space that has been before was actually cafeteria space. We also have a lease agreement between the Upper Bucks County Technical School and the Associated Builders and Contractors of Eastern Pennsylvania, better known as ABC. It is an agreement between the two companies, leasing space at 3115 Ridge Road for craft training and apprentice programs. This is extremely unique. We have a private sector company, basically a private, not-for-profit company, is going to be leasing space at the tech school to hold classroom activities in the apprentice area and craft training for 1 year. We're looking to expand that program in future years. The lease agreement will pay for not only the lease of the space, but also for electricity and services from parking lot cleaning and so forth. So that's an exciting process to finally see that come to fruition. And last but not least, Jaybird Gilbert, who is the student of the month, is a senior at our welding technology fabrication program. He's a senior at the Penridge High School. He is first honored student and received his program's most dedicated outstanding level 1 awards. This year, Jacob earned a gold medal for the solo welding competition at the Skills USA District 11 competition. He's advanced to the state competition in April, where he earned a bronze medal. Outside of school, Jacob is a goalie on our varsity ice hockey team and won the states last year. His team also had a second place finish this year. Congratulations on a job well done for one of our own at Penridge. That is my report. And our next meeting will be August 17th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Cormack. Moving on to the Penridge Area Coordinating Committee, Ms. Patisky.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. The Penridge Area Coordinating Committee met on May the 25th. It was a brief meeting. They talked about support for a Sellersville Holiday House Trail Planning Grant that could benefit families at Sellersville Elementary and West Rockville Elementary. And the group is encouraging community members to email your borough township expressing your support for the grant. The next meeting will be held on September the 28th.
Moving on to the Penridge Community Education Foundation Committee, Ms. Patisky.
Yes, so over the last couple of months, we've talked about the Education Foundation moving to be managed by the district. And earlier tonight, in the superintendent's report, the donation of $13,000 from the foundation was announced to the district to be earmarked for teacher grants. We also discussed in our last meeting a transition timeline. So all of the official accounts of the foundation will be closed around mid-August. And the plan is for the district to introduce the district-run foundation at the beginning of the next school year. So a big thank you to all the volunteers throughout the years that have given back to the community through their work and service in the foundation. Thank you.
And moving back to public comment.
Mr. Rice, would we actually be able to move old business and new business before public comment? We do have an item of, not sure if it is old business or new business. But it will seem awkward to do it after, public comment. I don't know how many people are signed up for public comment.
We have 8 people signed up for public comment in the
8?
second series.
Okay, if it's only 8 people, then I guess it's not that bad.
All right, moving on to public comment, Amy Johnson. Pass. Ian Kranick? Ian Kranick. And on deck is Jane Kramer. I thought my handwriting was bad.
Ian Granick, Hilltown. It's 1948. The world is still reeling from the atrocities of the Holocaust. That's a fact. And the carnage of World War II. And George Orwell pens the novel 1984, a book on the Mother of Liberty banned book list, Moms of Liberty banned book list. And in it he warns of a government that corrupts language in order to control individuals and squash free will. War is peace, you've heard that saying. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. But Orwell could learn something from this board. Diversity is racism. Equity is disenfranchisement. Inclusion is marginalization. Mazel tov. Last month, a feller got up here and he wept about how people were disrespecting 1776, the year that the United States was found. No one is disrespecting the founding of this nation. The problem is that extremist hate groups like the Proud Boys, like Moms for Liberty, like Vermilion, like this school board, have mounted an assault on democratic institutions and values and have packaged it under the 1776 brand to convince you that fascism equals democracy. Don't fall for it. I think we all want our children to be safe. We all want our kids to learn. Some of us want them to learn how to think. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm curious to know what you are all fighting for. It's Gay Pride Month. So, for all of our gay and lesbian, bisexual and transgender, queer and non-binary students, parents, and even school board members, well, I don't know. No matter what bathroom you happen to be squatting in, we're glad you're here. You're welcome, and we will raise our voices with you in solidarity. Because remember that other important axiom: silence equals death. Thank you.
Jane Kramer, followed by Adam Benzig.
Jane Mansell. She,
I don't see.
Did Jane read?
yeah, I think so.
Adam Benzig?
I don't
I
see
don't see
Adam
Adam either.
either. Is Adam in the hallway?
Is Adam in the hallway?
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right.
Run, Jane, run. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to drive to Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's brutal. No.
Jane Kramer, Sellersville. Just a few thoughts. First off, I want to thank the board for much improved behavior tonight for the majority of the board. You know, it's been very stressful to sit and watch this board. So I, on behalf of the audience, I'm grateful for whatever it is that encouraged you to be more civil. One Vermilion and the curriculum supervisors. Very disappointed that you're just kicking that down the path a little bit. You know, you had a community strongly let you know that Vermilion is not a good fit for this community. It's just not. You know, if there is the desire to review the curriculum, to look at bias, to do things like that, you have amazing teachers, amazing curriculum supervisors. Give them the directive and they can do it. There's no reason to enter into a contract with someone that can barely present and, you know, put our district at risk. Not just of, you know, financial, but lawsuits, teachers leaving, families leaving, the community. You know, so I'm just disappointed in that choice. And I wonder if the idea is, oh, well, people will stop coming to meetings and then we can, you know, go full steam ahead. I don't know what you're thinking. But just wanted to express my disappointment in that. So thank you.
Adam Benzig? Is he around? No? Kevin Foster?
I don't see him.
Kevin
either.
Leah Rash?
She left.
Leah?
Leah Rash left.
Stephen Rash?
He left.
They coming to you.
I don't know if they're coming back.
Laura Foster.
Laura Foster?
I don't want my time to start until people pay attention. Can you wait the time until we get the board members to pay attention, please?
Your time is running.
Megan, can you pay attention?
Ma'am, your time is running.
Megan, can you pay attention? This is
Ma'am,
us
you're out of
speech.
order. You're
Laura
out of order.
Foster, East Rock Hill,
Thank
Megan,
you.
can you pay attention?
Please, start your comment.
So here we go, right? Now we got it. Now we have an illegal policy up here. We have an illegal policy that they have been advised against, right? One that discriminates against children, right? Discriminates against queer kids, discriminates my queer kid. So I'm gonna, say this again. Since it is official now that we have an illegal policy, come see me and we will make this right. My name is Laura Foster. Megan, pay attention. My name is Laura Foster. You can reach out to me through the Ridge Network. Go to Ridge Network on Instagram. If you feel like you're being discriminated against because of any policies that these guys feel that are okay to pass, we'll make sure that you get some legal recourse against this. We spent a lot of time, Megan saw it a little, spiels about the budget going back and forth for 8 minutes on, some 8% extra money. I know why, right? We know why they're worried about the budget, because they need money for the attorney fees. That's where our taxpayers are going. They're not going to raise our taxes because they're trying to squirrel money away to pay for the attorney fees for all the lawsuits that are going to be coming their way. And don't think it's just me. There's lots of people here that are pissed about this. Lots of people that are watching us. You know why? We are the most extreme school board in Pennsylvania. The most extreme school board is right here. The Moms for Liberty camp is representing Penn Ridge, is representing Pennsylvania. You know what? We are representing the United States here. This is the playbook for Moms for Liberty right on our stage right now. I'll see you at the conference.
Leah Malone.
It's on.
You're good.
Leah Malone from Bedminster. So I graduated here last year in 2022. I just finished up my freshman year of college. And I wanted to say something to this school board for a long time. I was hesitant to come, but I did late because I understood that I'd be seeing some of my favorite teachers ever, and it could be the last time that I'm doing so. This district has always lacked compassion and care for people who look like myself, and implementing Vermillion would be just another example of doing so. The reasons that teaching history, that is complete and accurate, is important and extremely relevant right now. If you look at the websites or watch the meetings of House legislatures across the country, which I highly recommend you do, bill proposals have been extreme and astounding. They take rights away from underprivileged and marginalized communities, gay rights, lynchings, restrictions on interracial marriage, and putting restrictions on different ethnic people from buying property, working, and more. Regardless of your opinions on these issues, they're important and students deserve to know about them. Similarly, oppressive and discriminatory groups have been becoming more active in recent years, and it makes people like myself feel unsafe. I can't even drive up the road 10 minutes without seeing a Confederate flag in front of a house off of 313, and I deserve to know what that's about. These issues stem from parts of our history that are uncomfortable but very necessary to discuss. Jim Crow and the systemic mistakes within our country's past allow it to happen, and your students need to be prepared. I go to college in the South, just like your own graduates might end up doing, and by hiding information like such, you leave us unprepared, unaware, and subject to oblivion of critical issues to our country and our future. You should expect your students to be ready to take on real-world issues with as much knowledge and information about all past subjects in history and literature, because unfortunately, history is seen to be repeating itself. Functioning members of society and our democratic system should have all of the information that we need to make the best decisions for our future. And by using this new curricula, you're making a detrimental mistake to that process. Thank you.
All right.
me that list? Could you email that to me, the list of things that you said is excluded from the curriculum? Because I want to look into that.
I didn't say anything was
I thought you said that there were certain things that this curriculum doesn't, that it doesn't
No, I said
cover.
there's certain issues that House legislatures across the country are trying to implement, and we should know about.
I'm sorry. So I've had numerous people say to me that there's certain aspects of that specific curriculum that have that are whitewashed or racist or whatever. But aside from hearing, what I'm asking for is specific examples because I haven't had anyone provide any specific examples.
Do it yourself.
I have, and I can't find anything.
That's because of.
So
All right.
if you have, okay.
Can we be in order, please?
Engage with you, so.
All right, can we be in order? You can certainly do that after the meeting. Let's see if we can get through the agenda.
All right,
Okay.
moving on to old business. I know,
Well, I'm not sure where this falls under, so maybe someone can help me out here. We all watched last night, what an embarrassment that presentation was.
Yes.
We hired a consultant.
Please be in order so we can finish this meeting.
Yeah,
Please go
I
ahead,
think
Mr.
we
Ward.
started that.
yeah.
Please go ahead, Mr. Worth.
So, to simplify it, it was an embarrassment of a presentation from Mr. Adams, and there were so many errors from the ancient history of first grade to the lack of geology anywhere in our curriculum, that I would like to make a motion to terminate that contract.
Please be in order. There's a motion.
Mr. Miller, don't we need 24 hours to add a motion to an agenda?
You do not need 24 hours to add a motion
New
to agenda
business, old
if the
business.
matter is, if the matter is brought before the board, as it is here, there needs to be a second
I'll
to
second
add
it.
it to the agenda. Please be in order. Thank you. The motion is to terminate the contract with Vermillion. It has a motion and a second. Vote for yes is obviously a motion to provide notice to terminate. The vote to no is to vote to continue the contract as is.
Comments now? Well,
Comments?
can we have
There's a motion and a
comments?
second. Comments or questions?
So I do think that there are numerous concerning things about the presentation last night, as we already went over, the lack of knowledge about our curriculum that was supposedly evaluated, the contract that from the beginning has not been specific at all in its scope, its duration. Last night it was, brought to our attention that even our heirs apparently, and I apologize to my heirs in advance, that your inheritance will be lessened by being bound to this contract apparently. So it did not go through the proper process from the beginning. We should have had options if we were going to talk about having consultants serve the school district. And the presentation last night, I just thought was completely lacking. And then Jonathan's questioning of the certifications, and the answer came back that he, in fact, Mr. Adams, in fact, does not have the necessary certifications to do the kind of work that he has contracted with this school district to do. So I'm not sure how this could, how it could be a legal agreement anyway. And so I would be in favor of serving him notice.
I'm also in favor. I was disappointed that the curriculum supervisors had not heard some of that information before last night, that the community, that us board members have not heard that information. And so for the mishandling of the process and lack of transparency of the process.
Sorry, one more time, Ms. Chenoweth.
Spence.
The members will be in order, please. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
Mrs. Spanis Clemens?
No.
Ms. Patisky?
Yes.
Mrs. Longren?
No.
Mrs. Chaikin? Mr. Cormack?
No.
Oh, come on. Mrs. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
No.
Oh, come on! Members, people will be in order, please. Thank you.
Really?
Let's be in order, please.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Motion fails 5-4.
Oh, we tried.
Okay, so moving on to, for new business, I think that there was a really valid point brought up this evening in public comment regarding our 9th grade social studies
Thanks a lot, Rice.
curriculum.
Thanks. We appreciate it.
Please be in order.
Yeah, tell me to be in order again. Tell them to be in order.
Okay,
You
well,
had a
that's,
chance to do something. You freaking lost it.
hey, that's enough. Thank you
Yeah,
very
I don't
much.
need you to tell me it's enough. This is enough. Call the cops on me again. I'm cool with it.
Right, well, thank you. Good night.
Okay, so back to new business. A valid point was brought up about the 9th grade curriculum. I share the same concerns about not having a curriculum in place for our 9th grade social studies for the fall. So I think that would constitute new business, I guess, but I think that we should address it since we won't be meeting as a board in July. We won't meet again until August. We need to decide what the social studies teachers will be teaching come September or August, whatever the
Ms.
first
Cullen,
is.
there's already an approved curriculum. It's a question of whether or not you approve a new curriculum. But there already is an existing curriculum.
Well, but the issue is that our courses, so the course book, as I understand it, the new students or the rising 9th graders and everybody from there on up was to be subject to the new graduation requirements, which outlined a different kind of course selection for social studies. So I guess just the question is, Dr. Scheid, what will they be doing since there's not any time to develop new curriculum before the start of the school year? What will they be doing?
Well, we have the option of using the curriculum that we already wrote. It's either use the
I think you have
curriculum we
to,
already
right?
have, or have the curriculum written before the start of the fall. And,
Which is not doing.
you know, we haven't had any discussion about that.
So
That was something actually that came up in conversation, and Jenna Vitale's on top of it, so I'm not concerned. I'm sorry, I wasn't in the know.
So
It was
this
right
is-
after you left.
And I would just like to, since you brought that up, the conversation with the supervisors, I hope that this isn't, disingenuous like some people have said. I would much prefer to have the vote tonight on the supervisors rather than tabling it so that we could all say yes or no whether we thought that that was a good idea. And, again, today learning that certain few board members went and had a conversation with the supervisors when there are a lot of people who are concerned about this topic. That's not necessarily a good thing because yet again I felt excluded from a process when we all should have been informed about it. And in fact, today when we were asking for that supervisor's item to be taken off of the agenda, we got no response from the board president to say, oh, there was a meeting and people were talking. So going forward now, I hope that this actually is going to be a genuine effort and that everyone will be included and that we will have a real discussion about this issue. I also still don't understand, since everything was changed, I would like to see, and I would like the teachers to be provided what they're going to be doing, because we did make a change to the graduation requirements that rolled down to the social studies, and there's confusion about what they're going to be teaching. And I also would, I guess I should have said this in old business, but we still have not heard what the response from the teachers union was to the proposal that was given to them by this board, and I want the public to know that we've been excluded from that process in a way that has never been done before, despite what people might tell you.
Mr. Rice, I appreciate Ms. Cullen's comments. I don't think there's any new business for the board to actually vote on.
There is no new business.
Okay.
Moving on to announcements. The executive session was held on June 6, 2023, to discuss a personnel matter involving potential discipline, and 2 separate executive sessions were held prior to tonight's school board meeting, one on the annual security update and the other on personnel matters regarding non-contracted employees. The next school board meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 28, 2023.
Do you want to speak? She wanted to speak, but she got disconnected. It wasn't. She wants to speak.
No, it's okay. I think we're good now.
Okay.
I will make a motion for adjournment.